I'm Duncan MacLeod of the Clan MacLeod.
My name is Ichabod Crane.
Name's MacGyver. Colonel Jack O'Neill, SG-1.
I am Batman!
Hello, I'm the Doctor.
So there's this man, he has a time machine. Up and down history he goes, zip, 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 getting into scrapes.
For years, and maybe more than that, right, Mac? But how long has it been? Has it been 6, 7 years ago?
Are you telling me that you built a time machine? Out of a DeLorean?
Hey, now wait a minute. Now wait just a minute.
Human beings were not meant to sit in little cubicles staring at computer screens all day.
I've got something for you.
Oh, merci, Sonor. Just one more thing, sir.
Oh boy.
Just like that. Bing, bang, boom.
At this point, I'd settle for the boom.
They'd love it here, don't you think?
This is what I'm saying.
And by the way, where is your podcast? Tell everybody that's here.
Welcome to the Never Gets Old podcast with your host, Mac Jackson, part of the Forever Adventure Network.
Alone again, alone again. His stories were like us, a beginning and an end, alone again.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the latest episode of the Never Gets Old podcast. I'm your host, Mac Jackson, and I got my buddy Scott Tipton with me again to catch us up on all of our goings-ons and pop culture news. That's how I typically put it, wouldn't you?
Pretty much, yeah. All things nerdy.
Yeah, everything that's fun and never gets old.
Yeah,
is the theme. How do you like the new intro? I shortened it.
cool. I like it. Very sharp, very snappy.
Thank you. That's what I saw a video somebody did of people who it's a husband and wife and they're laying in bed and he goes, oh, hey, I want you to hear this podcast I'm listening to. And she goes, yeah, I'm not really. I don't know. He goes, no, it's really good. Listen to this one episode. If you don't like it, you don't have to bother anymore. She goes, all right. So he plays it and it's like an intro. It's the Wham Bam Show. It's the Wham Bam Show. The Wham Bam Show. Here we go. It's the Wham Bam Show. And she looks at him. He goes, it's almost over. It's almost over. Here we come. It's the Wham Bam Show. And it gets to the point where she gets out of bed, starts packing her bags. He's like, no, it's almost over. And she leaves and it's still going. So,
Exactly.
yeah. I if I can tighten this up a bit.
Brevity, perhaps. Brevity, perhaps.
Yeah. I mean, just in and out, you get the idea of what it's about. And also, like clips of, I wasn't ever going to lose the clips of Mike Nesmith talking to me through his, or talking about me through his video. So I'm like, yeah, that stays. Yeah. And I put up like, little clips of like Paul Reiser. If his voice is on the screen, I'd like to have it matched. There's Columbo, Paul Reiser. But then, I thought, all right, let's shorten that a bit and get into the fun stuff because I can't expect people to be like, eventually we're going to get there. Yeah. Also, for you, I figured you'd appreciate the shirt.
Ah, very nice.
My son got it for me, animal. He said, Dad doesn't have an animal shirt. So for one of the holidays, I think it was Christmas, he got it for, or my birthday, he got it for me.
Can't get wrong in Muppet stuff.
I'm telling you, but yeah, I was thinking, what shirt will I wear today? Because during my day job, you can't wear T-shirts. So my fun time is my not work time. And so I thought, all right, now it's to the point where I have so many T-shirts, but what do I want to represent today?
Speaking of Muppets, by the way, big thumbs up to Super 7 on their new Sesame Street line.
Oh, nice.
Really well done. Sculpts are great.
Are they movable?
Yeah, they're like Star Wars figure articulation, 4-point.
Oh, okay.
But the sculpts are fantastic.
Yeah. Well, also, I don't know if I think I've told you about this.
Oh, those are great.
Right? I bought because they're not digital. They don't have them digital because it's Disney or Boom or whatever. It's Boom Studios, but through Disney.
Those were Roger Landridge, I believe, was the writer artist on those. Those were so well done.
They're so good. So I thought, you know what? I love these so much. I'm gonna get it for the kids. I mean, for me too, but really, I want the kids to enjoy it. And we were watching the Muppets, the show that was on ABC a couple years ago that we loved. And so I thought, now's the time. So I bought them all. They were in Mikey's room. I don't know if they ever touched them. So I'm like, all right, I'm bringing them. I'm taking them back. I'm putting them down. So that way they're available for everybody. If I want to get them, I can reach in and just grab one and read it.
No, they're really good.
There's right, and they really capture the essence without the limited. Like you can actually show the full figure flip down the steps or whatever.
But they get the tone right and they get the pattern right. You know, that there's specific kind of almost vaudevillian humor to the Muppets that is it's not Sesame Street. I mean, it can be wickedly funny in places, but there's that kind of old style snappy pattern to it, and not everybody can do that in comics.
Right. Tell me about. I told you about that whole Archie thing, right?
Yeah.
with the monkeys, it didn't even nothing like it. I'm like, why? Who wrote this, and why did you allow it to happen?
Yeah.
Ugh. I just, you don't want to be a pest when you're trying to market yourself, but at the same time, had I known this was coming, I would have made a giant pest of myself just to say, please let me write this, not for my sake, but to get them right.
Yeah.
And boy, when you get it right, I told you, one of the best comics I ever read was the Quantum Leap series that they had. They did 13 episodes, issues or so of them. And then the company went out of business because it was one of those not established. We're trying.
Yeah, it was smaller indie. Yeah,
it was so good. They got the rhythm right, and they got the dialogue right, and you can actually hear it in your head, and you could feel the music in the background when certain things happen. I'm like, that's good writing.
Yeah, especially with licensed books, it can be tricky to get that tone right.
Oh, tell me about it. The Stargate ones were god awful until a couple of years ago, and then they did a couple good miniseries, and then that was it. I'm like, well, keep it going. Oh, you know why? Because originally we're going to do this. We're doing this show and this show, and plus the new show. Well, the new show hasn't happened yet, so they kind of just Amazon.
Yeah,
they just drag. I don't know what their deal is.
Well, I think with Amazon, it's they're especially for a while trying so hard to compete with Netflix. I think they overspent, and then it's like they kind of overcommitted to a bunch of stuff. So anything that's not the hottest thing kind of gets backburnered.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, that's the thing. People, I guess, Sidetrek is he's a buddy of mine, and he does these great updates. He's the reliable source for updates on Stargate stuff, and because he's got an inside source at MGM and all. And they said that apparently now MGM went to Amazon and said, no. We demand you get going on this.
Yeah.
We've set everything up for you. This should have been out last year. And you people are the pandemic set us back. That's been over now. Let's get going.
Let's get to work. Right.
Yeah. Also, I don't know how much of the background you can see of The Office now. I'm trying to I'm trying to see how I can figure this out. I'm trying to update it. I when I have downtime, I've been looking just for fun ever since we were house shopping years ago. You get that explorer part of you that goes, what's inside that house? I want to see the layout of that. So I'd look at that locally and play the dream of what if. What if we had $1 million and we could buy another house? What would we do? What would be good and what would we do with the space? Well, I'd look at some of these and go, okay, that's their office. Oh, that's nice. They have a cushion in there. They have like a couch against the wall, and I wish I had that. And then it dawned on me, like, this is my office.
I can't have that.
Because you know what it's been? It's been the computer room / put the children's games on the shelf kind of thing. And if you see, I have this door here that goes into the hallway, which we just kind of closed off. We don't need it. We already have a door on this side. I said last night to Cindy, brilliant idea. What if, because that's kind of dead space, what if we got a cushy chair and made this more like a place you'd want to hang out as opposed to a place where I have to do stuff? So we're now online, like looking, okay, what's a comfy, reasonably priced chair that we could put in there? So, it's coming along, but it dawned on me, I have a room.
Yeah. Well, that was the big step when I took my spare bedroom, and no, this is now the library.
Right.
And then you commit to it. Right now the shelves start coming in. Now the big overstuffed chair goes in there. So yeah, you just need to flick that switch in your head. This is the library now.
But I remodeled everything. Like I brought down, not remodeled. That makes it sound like I tore something down. I brought down where is it on this side? All my superhero Funkos. Because on one side of our bedroom, on the dresser, were all the superhero Funkos. On the other side were like MacGyver and Sherlock and Jack from Lost and the ones who are Matt Murdock, the ones who were action heroes or whatever, but not superheroes. The actual cape superheroes were on the other side. And I thought, all right, I'm bringing them down. I'm going to put them down here. I have that latest Daredevil right there. The one from the cover with him with the billy clubs.
Oh, yeah.
And the ribbons coming off the glove. I love that. I already have 3 different Daredevils plus 1 Matt Murdock. That was a given. I thought, no, that's a definitive one. I have to get that. Well, I thought because I want to represent, and if anybody's watching this, give them something else than my face to look at. And then on this side, I figured you'd appreciate, where is it? This side. Right there, behind the Stargate Transformer.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I thought, Scott will appreciate that because it's kind of the size that he would be to a Stargate.
Yeah, there you go.
You know what I mean? It kind of looks cool. And behind me is the musket Cindy got me. I'm going to go that way. That goes across the... Yeah. That is a prop from Sleepy Hollow.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that Cindy got me. It's not workable. It's just a piece of molded wood because it was if he was going to fire it, they'd use an actual real gun.
Right.
But while he's carrying something with him through all these episodes, that was the one. And when the show ended, they were selling off stuff. Now, I would have loved to have gotten his coat.
Yeah.
The iconic coat or the shirt or something. But that's not bad. I'll take the gun. Yeah. That's not a bad. But again, as you know, I have to be frugal. I there's one side of me that's the Scott in me that goes, that's great. I got to get that. Holy crap. Gimme. And then there's the other side that goes, you're a father who needs to put his kids through school at some point. Maybe you should limit that part of you. And that's the conflict that I deal with every day of my life.
I mean, it's and also it comes down to space too. I mean, there's stuff I look at that's amazing, but it's like where am I going to put that?
I've said that with the kids. I said I don't know where Scott puts most of the things he has. He's putting together a Lego Ghostbuster firehouse. Yeah. Okay, great. Where does it go? Because that'd be the other thing. It's just you and your wife, right?
Yeah.
So you don't have to worry about animals or whatever knocking crap over.
No.
I do.
The headquarters is secure.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing. If I put anything in this room, I have to make sure if it hits the floor that the dog isn't going to, I'll kill him. But we got lots to catch up on. I'm trying to think of some other. I mean, I know we have our list, and you could feel free to work off that list. But
I think we'll start with the biggest thing of the summer. We haven't talked about it all yet. Is Deadpool Wolverine.
I've heard of it. Actually, let me see. Did I put here? I put this, made that for our little ad.
Yeah.
That way people can see it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought I wasn't sure what to use, that or that or that, and plus a couple others. So I thought, all right, well, I'll do a Wolverine one just because I know that's coming up.
Yeah. Well, what's the thoughts?
Okay. Love it.
Yeah.
Hate Deadpool. Always have. So you have to understand from my point of view, I hate any of those obnoxious, aren't I something kind of characters that talk to the camera and destroy the world you're supposed to be enjoying. Like, I don't like that. That's not my humor. It's not my thing. Plus, a character, much like Wolverine, who they write to be too powerful. You can't kill him. You just can't. Well, then as a writer and a reader, you need to have that factor. So I've always hated Deadpool. However, Ryan Reynolds is the perfect choice to be Deadpool. And I love the way he has been at the forefront of making sure all of those movies happen.
Yeah.
Even like in the beginning when he dropped we're not making Deadpool. Really? I'm dropping this 2-minute clip.
I don't know how this happened.
That was brilliant. Yeah. That was great. And it showed wait a minute, you guys actually got the eyes to do the thing, and he's wearing the glass. Why would you not put this out just for that fact alone?
Yeah.
And so I loved that.
Because I was never a fan of Deadpool in the comics,
right?
But in the films, it's its own thing, and it's such a pure comedy kind of approach that I think it works as a standalone. And I thought what this movie did surprisingly well is keep all of that, and yet by introducing Wolverine to it, actually gave it kind of like more of the stuff that you think is not there.
Right.
I was not expecting Hugh Jackman to have the kind of monologues he did in this film that were actually really emotional performances and really strong.
Yeah.
And actually, when you talk about how the problem is you can't kill him, there's that moment when they're having the argument in the car where Logan brings that up, that the only real joke here is that you can't die and you deserve to more than anybody, and it's just wow. And they tackled that stuff while still keeping the humor strong, and then just going full on. I don't think anybody expected this movie to be as much as a love letter to the Fox Marvel movies as it was.
Right, and that's what he said. He goes, "This, as much as we're happy to be part of Marvel, this movie was about saying thank you to Fox,"
which I was not expecting.
Yeah,
I thought we'd be seeing some cameos for the sake of cameos. I didn't think it was actually going to have the weight that it did.
And the montage during the end credits.
Oh, that was great. And just seeing that batch of characters, both the ones that started all and the ones we never got to see. I'm ready for a Channing Tatum Gambit movie now.
Really?
Oh yeah, I'm on board.
Whoa. I mean,
again, he's a character in the comics, in the cartoon I never cared about.
Right.
So kind of like Deadpool, when you see somebody like Tatum, who clearly that's his character, he wants it bad.
He wants it bad.
That costume was perfect.
The costume was perfect. I don't think he has the build for it though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he's not tall and lanky.
Yeah.
He's big and bulky. But for what it was, I was glad they did it for his sake.
Yeah. Yeah.
And also we got to see Gambit.
Yeah. And I never thought we'd see Blade back.
What about that? They were showing a clip of somebody thought it was the actor from the TV show Blade, and they were saying, yeah, they're having Blade in it, but it's funny because Ryan Reynolds isn't going to have him in it. They're going to have the TV version because Snipes hates Ryan Reynolds so much.
Yeah.
And sure enough, holy crap, no, it was him.
Yeah, it turns out not so much.
And I love that. I mean, I'm afraid Ryan Reynolds is going to trip on a banana soon, and we're going to find out some stuff that's less than great about him. But in the meantime, because that's just what reporters do. They look for the crap.
Yeah.
So like poor Ben Affleck and
yeah,
like leave them alone.
Yeah,
it sucks for them. Leave them alone. But in the meantime, Ryan Reynolds has been really an impressive human being, and I support like anything he's been tweeting hasn't been look at us. It's been pointing to everybody else on the cast and crew.
Yeah,
that's how you stay a good person despite fame.
Yeah, I was impressed by the fact that because people love the Logan film. No, the last one.
I hated it.
I still haven't watched it yet. I keep meaning to because mostly I just I know it's going to be a bummer, and I don't need a really sad X-Men movie.
Right.
But it didn't undo the movie.
No. That's the great thing about multiverse. You can do different versions,
and the fact that they gave Logan a reason to wear the suit, I thought that was really interesting, and that was well done. And then, I mean, I don't know when you saw it. I was only in because I didn't get to see it for like 2 weeks because I was off of my convention tour, but so it was only like maybe a third crowd in the theater when he pulls the mask up.
Oh,
people lost their mind.
Yep. Yeah. Like, all right, it's about time. Okay.
Yeah, and he looked so cool. Why not? Excellent. Movie you should have done it years ago.
Right. Well, hopefully anything forward they will, because now Hollywood seems to understand. Oh, we can do the glass over the eyes, and it doesn't affect anything.
Yeah.
Batman, do it. With like, let's do this. Come on. That's how you do it. And by the way, Deadpool and Spider-Man have shown us you can actually
have the
computer generated or what, but you could be expressive in the brow. Great, do it, because transition. Here we go. We'll come back. The Thing. The picture that they showed of the Thing with the guy putting the mask on.
Yeah.
That's brilliant because one, it's a reference. Two, they don't have to do as much CGI work over here. Yeah. If they just do the facial expressions, you're golden.
Yeah. And I'm sure that they'll be doing a CGI on it for the actual acting in that. But we're finally getting the proper Kirby brow.
Mm-hmm.
No one's ever done properly.
Right. And like I said, if he turns his head and you're getting the backside of him, they could let that be practical. It's only here that you need to really worry about. So that saves the money and time.
Yeah, that would they kind of like they started doing that with Paul Bettany with the Vision, where he's in full makeup, but then they also lay in a lot of CGI layers over it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I was just so pleased to see a classic looking Kirby / Byrne Thing.
Yeah.
I'm really psyched for that one.
I'll say what I always say. Despite the criticisms that we addressed on a previous episode, Marvel can still do no wrong. They may have done unnecessary stuff, like Secret Invasion didn't do anything for me.
Yeah.
It was kind of pointless. I couldn't quite follow. Everybody's green and pointy-eared, whatever. But I'd rather have stuff that is light and fluff than there's been nothing that's been bad.
Yeah.
It just, you know what I mean? Some things aren't necessary, but I'm glad to have it.
Yeah,
Marvel, keep going.
Yeah, there's stuff that didn't land for me, but I mean, I can put that track record against any other studio for that many movies. How many misses did you have?
I would rather have the abundance of okay than a lack of stuff. Like, we always say we should have had more Indiana Jones movies, more Ghostbuster movies. I would love to have had a bowl full of that and be able to go, all right, this one I like better than that one. This one, instead we go, well, here's what we have. Love it. Because that's all you're getting.
Speaking of the FF, did you spot the Fantasticar in
I saw the video of the during the convention.
In Deadpool Wolverine.
Yes. Yeah, in the No Man Land
thing. They're driving around in the flying bathtub.
And I thought of you too when I saw it because I know you love that crap. Yeah. I'm like, yep, that's for Scott right there.
Oh, that was fantastic.
And great, do it. That's why not?
Yeah.
They can write it where it makes sense, and then they can move on if they want to. But let's have some fun. Like this Deadpool Wolverine movie. I saw it with Mikey because we didn't know how bad it was going to be, so we didn't want to subject the girls to it.
Yeah.
And then the next day, Everly comes down to me and says, okay, so Betsy Sue wants to go see it with her parents, and she wants to know if I want to go. It's probably a no, though, right? Well, I'd already seen it. So I said, no, you can see it. Just, she's not, I don't want them to see nudity, and I don't want them to hear anything god-awful, crass, vulgar.
Yeah.
But they can hear the F word. It's not going to affect them. It's the world. Unfortunately, it's the world we live in, and it's more of a strength of their character that it's not going to affect them. So I said, go ahead. Well,
my rule always is, if it's funny, it's okay. If it gets the laugh, and I mean, if anybody is good at that kind of humor and making it land most of the time, it's Reynolds' Deadpool. So that's why, I didn't mind it.
Well, Mikey wanted to go again to see it, and he couldn't get any of his friends to go. So he said to his mother, I know you were going to wait on this, because she didn't see the first two. And I said, you really don't need to.
Nah.
Feel free to go. So she went with them, and they came home. They're both like, yeah, we're glad we saw it. Okay. Yeah. I said, because Mikey's like, you're going to get spoiled if you don't go see it now.
Yeah.
Okay, I enjoyed it. I loved all the Easter eggs. I have no complaint for a character that I don't like. But I have no complaint except the criticism of it didn't matter. There was no really significant, it didn't impact the MCU at all. It was kind of like you said, it was a goodbye letter to Fox. I mean, that's fine. But the way that they built this up, things were going to matter. Like when you see the sparkly circle of fun, I'm like, wouldn't it be great if they got thrown into the big battle at the end of Endgame?
I thought about that, and I wondered if they would do that. I think the concern about that is all of a sudden, if you go back to that, it kind of minimizes Endgame a bit, because it kind of makes us, all of a sudden it's Woody Allen, Zelig, or Forrest Gump, where you're just kind of dropping them into these what were big emotional moments that kind of should be left alone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the bigger thing is that we do get out of this is that anything from the Fox movie universe is now fair game, and B, as Deadpool kept reminding Logan, Disney will be having Hugh Jackman doing this till he's 90.
Oh, he's 90.
So we till you're 90. So we'll be seeing them in Secret Wars. I can't imagine it. Plus, I think another movie with these two, because the response was just so huge, box office wise.
Right, and that makes you feel good.
Yeah. That all that's fine by me. And Wolverine looked amazing, and I was kind of joking to myself throughout that maybe Jackman was doing kind of what Dave Bautista did in Guardians 3. There's a reason Drax always wears a shirt in Guardians 3. It's because Drax is pushing 50 and he's getting tired of working out that much. So part of me was like, that might be why we're seeing him in the suit. But then that last scene where he's walking around with his shirt off, and yikes.
Yeah.
It's great.
It is great. It's I loved getting to see the different variations too.
Yo, that clip there with all the different Logans. And did you notice that when the Henry Cavill Wolverine popped his claws, he cocked his arms like he did in Mission Impossible?
Yes, I did notice that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, that's cute.
Yeah. All that stuff, all those versions, I mean, stuff we never thought we'd see.
Right.
And also some of that, not stuff that needs its own movie. We can go ahead and burn that Age of Apocalypse Wolverine right now for that one joke. Same with Patch.
Yeah, right. And the whole, I love that they address, you guys want a comic accurate Wolverine? Well, here's what he'd look like.
Short kick Wolverine.
Yeah, it looks stupid. You can't do it.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole reason that they did it, the creators of Wolverine were thinking, well, short and nasty. Okay, great.
Yeah.
But other than that, like, that's what a Wolverine is. I got it. It's not necessary. It was never necessary in the books. If you drew him and you made him a little shorter than the 6 foot whatever everybody else is, fine. But you're not making him Danny DeVito. You can't do it. It doesn't work. Puck from Alpha Flight.
On film, you get Puck. And they and especially in like the Claremont Burn years and after that, when they would take pains if you saw like a wide shot or a lineup where to get him shorter, but he never seemed short in the comics.
Right. It's only when you compare him to Colossus or anybody else. Go ahead. That's fine. But it shouldn't be part of his, I walk into a room and that's the first thing you comment on.
Yeah.
Right? Like he's an average sized guy. He doesn't have to be the 6-foot model.
Yeah. But you can't make him buck.
And Mikey said, we got the Hulk. We need a Wolverine Hulk movie. And I'm like, I know. I want more of that too. That's why you have to let Mark Ruffalo revert back to less than smart Hulk.
Yeah.
Because there's so many classic scenes and stories that you have to do with that raging ape type of Hulk. And that's one of them.
Yeah. And that's the beauty of the character, is that over the years, it switches back and forth so much that no version of him is ever going to be permanent.
Exactly.
I'm honestly shocked that the Smart Hulk has stayed around as long as it did.
Yeah, yeah. And I was reading that version with the Pantheon.
Oh, that was great stuff.
And Gary Frank as the artist. Oh, that was wow. I remember that and Mark Waid's Flash.
Yeah.
I was like, these are the definitive, when these end, and when they ended, boy, did they end hard, because whoever came in after them sunk it. They didn't even try to carry on. They went, we're going in a different direction. They made the Hulk a murderer. The art wasn't great. Remember?
Yeah, just very dark and murky.
You could feel, even with the Flash, you could feel, oh, this isn't the same writer.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd like my money back, please. That was not what I pre-ordered for.
But no, a Wolverine Hulk thing would be fantastic.
Right? I mean,
just a hint of it was more than you ever expected.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
the other thing that surprised me, because it was not my favorite character in the comics, is I thought it was a good choice for Cassandra Nova for the villain.
Yes, I love Astonishing X-Men.
Yeah, I like the Morrison run, but I was never a big fan of that character.
No. I'm talking about the Astonishing.
That actress made me like the character.
Yeah. Well, I know her from not that. I know her from Joss Whedon's that 12 issue.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I thought the Cassandra Nova was a Morrison thing.
I think you're right. And that came afterwards, which is why I'm blending the two in my head.
Yeah.
Because I missed out on that, and then
the Whedon stuff was the Cerebro brought to life as like yeah.
You're right, but I thought she popped up in that too. But I guess
I haven't reread the Whedon run in quite a long time, so there might have been a second appearance there.
Yeah, I
was never, but in the comics it worked okay, but I was never a big fan. But I thought here she was great.
Yes, yeah, I thought so too, and also that kind of power. I'm like, oh, that's not good. That's bad. How are you gonna beat that? Unless you can convince her to switch sides.
Yeah,
she's got way too much power, and I mean the fact that she can go and rip off the skin, like that's not good.
Yeah. And by the way, that was another great reveal in that when you see Chris Evans, everyone's thinking Cap, and then when they flip it, like, oh yeah, no,
that was brilliant. That was my favorite, one of my favorite parts of the whole movie.
Yeah.
So I'm like, holy crap, you got Chris Evans. Wow, great. Holy crap. And it's Cap, and he knows it's Cap, and he's wearing the Cap boots, and then flame on. Oh, bravo.
Yeah, no, that was so well done.
Oh, it was so good. And the fact that they had like Elektra in there kicking butt and like beautiful. I saw the storyboard or at least the mock-up where they were going to have Ghost Rider in it and Ben Affleck Daredevil.
Both of which would have been cool.
I would have loved it.
I really wish it would have been Ghost Rider. I think Ghost Rider would have been fantastic.
I would want both of them, but here's the thing, though. Here's why I don't think they did it. Do you really see Daredevil too? Quite frankly, I think Daredevil would have led the group, but the Resistance. Do you really see Ghost Rider, unless he's with the Resistance? Do you see him being submissive at all to Cassandra? You know what I mean? Like it's that type of character.
Well, I think if you're going to have a Ghost Rider appearance, you have to have him kind of like running in at the last second as an unknown X Factor. Because having him hanging out with them doesn't quite make sense. But nor do you see him being under Cassandra's thumb. So he would have had to have just been like, kind of like a run in almost.
There's an awkward conversation. They're all sitting around. All right. So she's here. We got to run in from this side. You flank him on this side.
Yes.
Goes right, and he's just standing there. Somebody get him marshmallows, or he's not really contributing at all. Like he's not. He's one of those type of characters that is an add-on, not necessarily great for his own title.
Yeah,
ironically enough. Because he's not a conversationalist. He's not having internal monologue. He's not going to go, so how was your weekend? Like, it's not going to happen. You know what I mean?
That was what was so weird when back in the 70s when he was in the Champions. It's just weird to have that guy on the team.
Yeah, because other than a battle scene, which isn't talking, or at least shouldn't be unless it's go punch that guy in the face.
Yeah.
Most of the time, it's they're going to have downtime, and what are these guys going to discuss?
I always imagine like a Champions headquarters. They got the table with the chairs, and like his chair has a little picture of like a flaming skull on the back. No, he's not going to come to the meeting and sit down.
Yes. I also would like Twinkies in the kitchen.
Champions used to do that stuff, and it just never works.
and it's so funny too because. And we've learned this. Well, we knew this, but it seems the movie people have learned this with Eternals. Just because it was made doesn't mean it should have been. Yeah. Like Kirby. I just said this. It was his birthday. I get why he's such a legend. I get it because when he came along, he was a new dynamic, right? I mean, and. Compared to what was before, he brought a new style in. I get it. He was doing the McFarlane kind of, wow, look in your face kind of stuff.
And also just an unending font of ideas.
Right. However, not a writer. No. He's always been told, you just draw. But people at DC or whatever thought, we got Kirby. Let him do whatever he wants. All right, I have a great idea. That was Darkseid. Everything else really hasn't quite the New Gods and Eternals or whatever. I got it. I appreciate what you tried to do, but there's no lasting impact for these characters. And that the movie studios were going, hey, we did it with Guardians of the Galaxy. We can do it again with these losers. And then the world went, no, you can't. We didn't ask for that. Yeah. Please stop.
And maybe you could have. If you found somebody who could write that and make you love the characters the way James Gunn made us love the Guardians.
Right. Well, and also the Guardians did have a successful miniseries to kind of go off of. You know what I mean? Because before Annihilation, nobody cared about them.
Yeah, it was the old Guardians, which was like, it took longer to explain who they were than it was to actually tell the story every time they'd appear.
Right. Exactly. You're right.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned the Kirby thing because that ties into what we're going to talk about next. But my take on the Lee Kirby thing has always been because there's people who just love to set up as Lee versus Kirby, and that one was more important to the other, and that one and paint Lee as like the glory hound and Kirby as the real voice behind it, and people pick sides about it. Lee and Kirby together did what Lee couldn't do by himself and what Kirby couldn't do by himself.
Yep.
Now, when you have Lee without Kirby, when you have Lee and Ditko, you have amazing stuff.
Yeah.
You have Lee and Bill Everett, you still have amazing stuff. But it's still Lee as the writer and then another artist coming in as the visual thinker. And Kirby without Lee trying to write, it wasn't the same. And I think the New Gods as a whole, with Darkseid, that's the single best creative work Kirby did solo. Mm-hmm. But there's, you get stuff like Commandy's okay. You know, the demon. I like the demon. The demon was strong stuff.
Sure.
Olmec never did anything for me. The Forever People didn't do much for me, and it just without Lee, Kirby stuff, with the exception of the New Gods, I think the New Gods really stands up. Kirby solo stuff just didn't have the heart. You didn't feel like you knew the character. It just didn't have the emotional depth to it. That Lee
right. And also, I mean, concept wise, brand new, great concept.
Concepts enough to issue,
but did not have the heart. And the thing that Stan Lee did was he said, no, you have to think about the kid sitting in his room deciding to put a mask on. Meanwhile, he still has to get his homework done. You know, you have to make it relatable and you have to make it feel like these are real people. And where Kirby just had great concept, but the Kirby stuff are the side characters that should come into a Superman or a Batman story, do their part, and then go away again. Whereas, obviously,
Lee had that amazing ability to make you care about the characters through dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
And Kirby's dialogue is just, I mean, I forget who it was who described it first. Kirby's dialogue solo as a scripter, it's like word jazz. I mean, it sounds like dialogue. It sounds like, it looks like something somebody would say, but nobody would ever say it.
Yeah.
And even when Kirby returned to Marvel, that's when you got like the Eternals, which I've tried to get into over and over again over the years.
Right.
The Kirby Eternals comics, and there's too many characters, and I never clicked into it.
Yeah.
Now Kirby's Return also gave us the absolutely insane 1970s Captain America run, where he's both writer and artist and editor on it, and those comics are insane. Those are great. Cap's run around the swamp, and he's dealing with South American dictators, and then Hitler's brain shows up. Oh, that if you're looking for fun 70s comics and your rec issues, find this solo Kirby run from the 70s.
Really?
It's great stuff.
Well, I've been reading, or between my runs of catching up on books, I'll jump into like a random Black Panther, because a couple of years ago they were giving away volumes and volumes on Comixology for free. And I'm like, yoink, 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 yoink. Everything I can possibly get, I'm going to get, because, all right, I'm not getting to them now, but I know I'm going to soon. And Kirby drawing that, or I don't know who the writer was, but it's like the very early, the first Black Panther stuff. And, it's got its charm, but I'm like, well, for what it is, think of the time. It's, it's like what we were saying about the Star Wars and Indiana Jones stuff. They didn't know what they were working with. So You kind of enjoy the naivete of that whole darn thing.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I look at those things. But, Kirby, and I would never belittle his contributions, but now people have come along that I think have done it, not writing or whatever, or creating, but drawing has been much crisper. You know what I mean? Like for me, it doesn't hold up like I wish it would, the way everybody goes on about it.
Well, I think the stuff, I mean, the Kirby stuff can seem kind of both crude and also overly exaggerated compared to the art today. But the one thing, and this is what people kind of get distracted by the exaggeration, is that when it comes to storytelling, Kirby is kind of unmatched in terms of just actually panel to panel telling that story, moving it along. Nobody's better.
And also look at what he was given. Stan Lee going, all right, here's kind of what I want. I want it to start here. I want it to end there. Go.
Yeah.
All right. So he knows, all right, 5 panels. He has to punch this guy in the face and cross the room. Okay. And then goes from there.
Famously, I remember somebody talking about watching Kirby work, and he would like start at the top left corner of a page, and just there were no layouts because the layouts were in his head.
Sure.
So he just started boom, and it's page a day. Mm-hmm. Oftentimes 2, even 3 pages a day.
Sure.
Insane the amount of work that guy could do. And when he moved to DC, he was doing like 2 books a month.
Yeah, right. And that's, you ever see what his drawing table looks like today?
Oh yeah, it's
whoa,
yeah,
whoa. His grandson has like a little memorial of it in a corner with a hammer and a shield.
Yeah,
and I'm like, they even said it smells like 100 years of cigars.
Yeah, I think that thing was in the basement for 20 years out here in LA, and 40 years before that in New York.
Yeah, and it was in the basement. Like that's where he worked in the basement.
Yeah.
But you know what? As much as he was a rough guy, I think I would have loved him. I think he was honest and good. He didn't take crap from people, and he was a hardworking son of a bee. How do you not love?
Yeah,
that?
I only met him once, but he was a great guy. He was
right.
Whoever he was talking to had his full attention. He wanted to communicate with the fans and the readers, and he just a solid dude.
And once in a while, I'll listen to that radio interview between him and Stan Lee in I guess it was the 70s.
Yeah.
Where they go, hey, we have a surprise guest, Mr. Kirby popped on.
Yeah.
And to hear them politely argue, I don't know, I did a lot. Yeah, but you didn't do it all, Stan. Well, no, but I did come up with the idea. No, you didn't, Stan.
Yeah, it's so tense. I know.
Right? Because you could feel it.
Yeah.
And did you watch that special on Stan Lee that was on the 616 or what was it, 616? It's on the Disney Channel.
I haven't watched it yet.
Watch it. Because they did some are better than others. It's like a 5 or a 6 part. All right, we're gonna deal with Dan Slott on this one, and he writes in the Marvel way, which I hope isn't true because it didn't make him look great. The Marvel method.
Yeah.
And then they do this great one about Miss Marvel and the creation of her and how impressive the writer-creator was. And it really makes you feel it's basically a yay for women kind of thing without being preachy. Charming as can be. Well, they do one. The first one is about the Japanese Spider-Man show, which is interesting, but not my favorite because it kind of goes on. You're like, all right, if I was into this, this is fascinating to find out. But they do one on Stan Lee. And it's great because they're very fair. And they show him talk about it. He goes, all right, I got a little carried away in the 70s there with my own bull crap. But he called it out. Like he goes, all right, yeah, I know. I wasn't trying to be an a-hole, but clearly I was. Excelsior. But they do this thing, and they animate a lot of it for when he's telling stories. So that way you have something to look at. And they talk about the last time that he saw Kirby. And they were at a party, and he was eating something, and he comes up to shake his hand, and Stan had food on his hand or something, and couldn't shake his hand at the time. And then somebody got their attention, so they got sidetracked, and he never went back. And he's like, "Oh, I guess he doesn't want to even shake my hand. All right." And you're like, "No, no, that's not what happened."
Yeah, I think that famously happened at San Diego.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah, and unfortunately, toward the end of Kirby's life, I think there were people in his life who had an investment in making his relationship with Stan and with Marvel more adversarial than it needed to be.
Sure.
And so I do think if the two of them could have gotten in a room at some point, I think it could have been much more handled in a much more friendly way. And I think there would have been a kind of a rapprochement between the two. But I think at the time forces were kind of working against them.
Agreed. Well, and it's the same thing Stan dealt with the last few years of his life where he was being manipulated.
Yes.
I think Mike Nesmith sadly went through something similar to that.
Yeah.
Where there were people that he's just trying to get along and do his thing, and the people who are supposed to be assisting him are blocking other people from getting near him that he wanted to. I'm one, for example. He was supposed to be on this podcast, and his people said, no, he's not interested. I'm like, I'm talking to him now. He's saying he is. Get out of my way. so he can be on. And, you know, I'm trying to go through the proper channels and be respectful as opposed to just reaching directly to him. And I thought, you know, you people are just ruining his good time. And now that he's gone, his whole Video Ranch stuff that was all available, they shut it all down. They took all his videos off YouTube. Like, why would you do that?
It
cost you nothing.
Yeah. How does that help his legacy? How does that, there's, you know, you can't monetize it. It's better to leave it out there so people remember who he was.
Right. And they can actually go and buy the album if you advertise it on YouTube.
Yeah.
You idiots. I mean, I saw they were selling the Video Ranch Studios, which is where he created that whole I'm talking to you live, even though you're an icon thing. Well, he created that whole live video performance while your little avatar walks around in front of the stage, and they see what you're saying and they can immediately respond to what you just typed. That was all him. He didn't brag about it. He didn't say, I did this. You had to find out if you were lucky enough to follow it. And gone. That studio, gone. Nobody bothered to pick it up and keep it going.
That's so frustrating.
Right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, we know Stan had, there's that horrible video right towards the end of his life where they just keep sliding stuff in front of him and he has to just keep signing it. Well, that's not what he was about. He wanted to talk to people.
Yeah.
Oh, just let the guy live and be happy.
Yeah.
I mean, he's gone now, but that's always what I said was just leave him alone.
Yeah, because that wasn't the Stan you saw for years before that, where he enjoyed doing signings, he enjoyed meeting the people.
And they always said he'd put his hand on you and make sure that you knew that he appreciated you, and that's what life's about.
Yeah,
but everybody's like,
no, exactly.
In
my first years at San Diego, I met Stan and I was in line to get signatures, and everyone else had like the newest Marvel stuff to get signed, and I brought out my old beat up copy of Origins of Marvel Comics.
Mm-hmm.
It was like the cover is scotch taped together. It's the one I'd been reading every day since I was like 5.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, "Look at this!" He like stands up and he shows the crowd, "This is the kind of book I love to sign." It was so great.
What did before I forget? What do you think of what you've seen so far of this?
Oh, this just from, you mean the filming stuff from Gunn's movie?
Yeah.
Looks, I mean, I'm not seeing anything I don't like. It looks great. It looks colorful.
Yeah, and everything I'm hearing too is okay. You got me. I'm feeling good about. They watched he posted that the whole crew had watched the documentary on Christopher Reeve.
Yeah.
Just to try and like enforce this is what Superman is, and this is what we are going for. And I'm like, yeah, all right, thank you. We need to hear that, because I saw the trailer for Creature Commandos.
I haven't watched that yet.
There's cursing in it. And I'm like, yeah, dude, it's a cartoon and you kind of want things to be family friendly. I'm not saying unicorns and rainbows, but you're limiting your audience already when you make it crass, and that's what I always had a problem with his other stuff was, other than Guardians. It's doesn't make it hyper realistic when people are telling others to F off.
Yeah.
So that's Creature Commandos. I pray to God he doesn't do that with Superman.
I can't imagine he will. I think he gets the tone.
I think so too. And seeing posts like that about Christopher Reeve, I'm like, all right, okay.
And the shot I saw of like Mr. Terrific looked perfect.
Didn't he though?
Yeah.
Did you see Guy Gardner?
Yeah.
Red hair. He's got the red. I'm like, all right, thank you.
And with a bit of the bowl cut too.
Yep. Yep. Not a Mo Howard, thank God, but he's.
Yeah, and Hawk Girl looked great, so I think it's going to be. I don't know. I'm dying to see Metamorpho.
Yeah. And the scene I saw was with the kids all running to him.
Yeah. And also the one shot where clearly he's holding the car over his head like the cover of Action 1.
Yep.
I think it's gonna be good.
I have all my faith in that.
Yeah.
He would break my heart if it's not. But yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, look at this. I was skeptical about the yellow around the symbol and all, but then I see it. I'm like, no, I'll accept it. It's good. Yeah, and they were smart to give him the red trunks and the gold shield on the back.
Yes.
I'll take the new design as long as you do those things.
Yeah, no, and people always want to make this same dumb joke. Oh, he's wearing his underwear over his pants, but they lose the fact that without that, you need something to break up the solid blue of the costume.
It's the color balance. I always say
it looks weird to just have the blue shirt going right into blue pants.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. You're absolutely. I mean, I say that all the time, and the yellow breaks that up and evens it out. You have to do it.
You need that on the shield. You need the shield on the back of the cape too.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's a nice little splash because otherwise it just looks like any red cape anybody could wear.
Yeah.
It drove me nuts when I saw animated stuff. I'm like, why would you not draw the gold shield?
It's so easy to do. Put it on there. All right. Here's a question.
Okay.
Cape Crusader.
Yes. Okay. All right. How many did you watch?
I only watched the first one.
Okay.
How can I put this?
Mm-hmm.
Remember what I was saying about how Kirby without Lee wasn't the same?
Mm-hmm.
This feels like Batman the Animated Series without Burnett and Dini, and you need them. You need those story editors. It feels so much of it felt like we're doing something different for the sake of being different, and you didn't really. There wasn't a reason for it, so it just felt arbitrary.
Okay, you got to watch more episodes because I remember the
criticism. And again, I realize I'm only based on the one.
The criticism that I heard first and foremost was, "There's not enough Batman in it. There should be more Batman." Well, again, I held off judgment until I watched them all, and as I'm going, I'm like, no, I appreciate this. I enjoy this because there. I think you saw my post. The criticisms I have were two things, and it's not going to spoil anything for you. One, it's nitpicky stuff, but it matters. Two-Face has to have the scar on that side of his face. They flip it.
Just for the sake of being different.
Well, yeah, don't do that. Now, and not only that, it's off-putting because your eyes know. I use the example, speaking of Mike Nesmith. Mike Nesmith's swoop has to go a very particular way with his hair. So when you see pictures of the monkeys, when nobody cared to notice that the picture was flipped, it scratches you in the eye because you're like, no, his swoop goes the opposite way. And it's horrible and it's very noticeable. And some people online were like, I don't mind it. I didn't notice it. I'm like, then you have no artistic eye. You understand left and right. Well, your eyes know that too. And that's why we have to comb our hair a certain way because it works or it doesn't. And that's what doing that with Two-Face was. My other criticism was the female penguin.
That struck me as the biggest the biggest misstep in the pilot, I thought.
Yes.
And only because I don't know it of all the Batman villains, the Penguin is kind of the least interesting, honestly. And so I can see why I can see the temptation. Oh, we'll switch it up and make him a woman, and that'll give us a new dimension. But as a result, the only thing that really matters about the Penguin is his look. And if you have him as Ethel Merman, you basically lose what there is about the character. I didn't see what we gained it from it.
Right. Well, okay. So I was curious as to why they would make such a stupid choice because the story didn't need it. And again, this is a Elseworlds, so it's in the 40s. It's a Batman in the 40s. So I understand let them play a little bit. I'll take some changes because this isn't our Batman the Animated Series definitive. You have to get this dead on, otherwise we're going to scream at you. I'll allow some unique Elseworld differences. Fine. Bruce Timm, I read where he said the reason he made Penguin a female was because Batman doesn't have enough interesting female villains. What the heck are you talking about? He's got the best rogues gallery of them all.
Yeah.
And he, of all people, should understand that he made less known villains become iconic villains by the way he wrote them.
Yeah.
So if you want more female villains, either dip into the bag of toys and pick another female villain, or create one.
Here's it, and it's that's exactly. I mean, beside the fact that the thanks to that original Batman animated series team, you have Harley Quinn, arguably the most important character they've added in the last 30 years. But then you have your Poison Ivy, and you have Talia. But then what did they do on that series? They created really powerful new villains. They created Roxy Rocket. They
love Roxy Rocket. Lock up.
Amazing. And they created. I thought Baby Doll, especially in the first appearance, Baby Doll is just heartbreaking.
Right.
So
right.
You can create new villains and they can be good. Don't take one of your core villains and just kind of like hobble it like they did.
Right.
Because there was nothing in that story that required Oswalda Cobblepot.
Oh God. I got it with the kids backstabbing, blah 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 blah.
You could have done that with a male penguin. You could have done that with a father and the two kids. That could be done.
I agree. It was a stupid decision.
And there's no one has ever in the history of ever been named Oswalda. So it just takes me out of it.
Well, when you got characters that are or people in the world that the parents just go, I don't know, Shanae or Shawoo or and my kids are going to school with a lot of these people and they'll come home and say, it's hard to remember this person's name. Why? Because it's Click Clack the Klook Klook. Are they from a different country? No, they're Irish. Well, what the heck? You're messing up these kids. So
I will still put all the money in my pocket against all the money in your pocket that no one's named Oswalda.
Right. I agree. I agree completely. Or guess maybe this will make it happen.
Yeah. And also, by the way, I mean, again, we are nitpicking, but this is the problem. And this is where I think, to go back to what I was saying before, not having as strong a bench on that writing staff makes a difference.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
There's stuff in the story that just doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
So DAs DA, not DAs, but it'd be the defense attorneys, public defenders in Gotham carry guns.
Right.
What's Barbara doing pulling a gun?
Well, you could say, well, she's the commissioner's daughter. He may have wanted her to have it.
Well, yes, but it's
I know.
And also the idea of having Babs as a public defender, I'm not that crazy about.
I hated it. I hated that, and the fact that it was very much like my adventures with Superman, where it's changing race just for the sake of look at us. Look at how we're progressive, huh? Everybody's now black or Asian. There's one white guy on Superman. I don't know if you've watched it.
Yeah.
My Adventures with Superman?
I've watched a couple of them.
Yeah. He's the only white guy.
Yeah.
I mean, all right. I'm all for diversity, but now you're, what do you call it? What they gaslighting? Is that the term I'm thinking?
It's not quite gaslighting. It's the virtue.
It's what?
Virtue signaling.
There, I'll go with that. Thank you. I love that.
But here's the thing. I don't mind that if it doesn't interrupt anything that's important about the character.
Right.
And making that Commissioner Gordon looked like Commissioner Gordon and acted like Commissioner Gordon. Mm-hmm. So whether it's a black guy or a white guy doesn't matter to me.
Well, it's funny because my son said, black guy as commissioner in the 1940s?
See, I think they're also trying. I think they're trying to have it both ways, but I don't think it's the 40s because there's some high tech stuff in there that's clearly not in the 40s. I mean, the Batcave, that big screen he's got, that's a big old Bat computer. That's not the 40s.
I don't think that's a screen. No, that's a glass. That's a glass thing that he writes with Mark.
I'm not convinced that they're firmly establishing it as the 40s.
When you see more episodes, you'll know.
Yeah,
because they do limit. They can't just pick up a cell phone and call. They have to actually stop and go to like a corner phone booth and do that kind of thing. So
I thought the design for the Bat sub was pretty blah. It was like a torpedo.
Yeah. Again, I think it was them trying to minimalize. Like it's the 40s. We can't get too high techy.
Yeah.
Okay,
I got to give him credit. Nobody can ever fill Kevin Conroy's shoes. So that's an almost an impossible job.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the guy they hired, he sounded enough like Conroy that it felt familiar.
Agreed.
But he wasn't trying to aid Conroy's performance.
Yep.
I thought the Batman voice was good.
Himmler? He's an actor.
Yeah. He's got a crazy name.
Yeah.
I'm not crazy about Fat Alfred.
Okay. You know why they did that?
Well, I just assume they did it because they went back to the very first version, which was which was very, very kind of like my man G's classic butler looking.
Yes.
Also, having Batman call him Pennyworth is very much we're going to do this because it's different.
Well,
we haven't done it before,
that's part. By the end you'll be happy. By the end of that series or season, I hope we get more. I would love it if we got more because it seems like they set it up to have more, but it took us 3 years for them to finally air this.
Well, because because it was ready to go, and then the new guy in charge of Warner Brothers didn't want to pay for it and sold it off to Amazon. So,
right, idiots.
Hopefully, Amazon's smart enough to pick up a second season.
Right.
Tell me, do we get any Joker in the series?
Do you want me to spoil it?
Is there a version? Just tell me this is a version coming.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Well, wait. That's the tease for next season.
Okay.
Okay. So, it like I said, watch more. Don't just go off this first episode.
No, it was good enough that I'm definitely going to keep watching.
I'll tell you, they do some great stuff. Because the one thing I remember Paul Dini, I think, and Bruce Timm saying was, we get to do things with this series that Fox would stop us from doing originally. People get stabbed. People get shot. They don't hold back on the grim and gritty.
Well, I don't know if you noticed, whenever Batman returns to the Penguin's boat in the submarine, at the bottom of the river, you see the case with Penguin's dead son coming out of it. That's pretty grim.
Yeah. Right? And the fact that like they're even having the Penguin kill her son.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, you're going to get more of that, and it's beautiful. It's great. Like we would watch one every night. Well, we'd eat dinner, and we get to watch something together to be together before the kids go up into their rooms and do whatever they're going to do. And right now it's that and Defenders. We just started Defenders because we did the first 2 seasons of Daredevil for Everly's sake.
Okay.
And now we're on the Defenders, and Mikey's like, we got to get going. The new season's coming. We got to catch her up on everything. I'm like, yes, I know. But when she wasn't in the mood for Defenders, we'd watch Batman. And as we're watching it, when it was over, after the first one, because the first one, you're right, you kind of feel like, okay. It's nice. I appreciate it. I'm like, I'm enjoying this. This feels good, and it feels like I want more of this. Granted, I would like more animated Batman the way we know it, but like I said, for the most part, I can appreciate what they're doing. Some of the choices, and I'll wait until you see them to discuss them, because there's some gripes that I'd be like, then why did you bother to do this? You didn't have to have it be that character.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if you're going to do the character is the main word. It needs to be them. Otherwise, you're just slapping a name on it. The same thing they did with My Adventures with Superman. None of those villains feel anything like any of the villains that they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Like they have what's his face, Slade Wilson, a teenage punk with an eye patch. Like, what are you doing?
You're just using the name to try and like garner recognition, but either do the character or don't do the character.
And you know what? I would respect them coming up with brand new characters and letting them be that than to ape a classic. And so the rest of us go, what the heck is that? That's not who that is.
They wind up doing it just for the sake of checking a box, you know? Because we know that name. Okay, yeah, but if you don't do anything with that name, you're just wasting it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I mean, sir, there was more good than bad about it. I didn't hate it. Like I said, I didn't feel the heart, but also, it's also not fair to judge that Batman the Animated Series is that rare, very rare show where the pilot episode is actually one of the best ones.
Yep.
Because the pilot was Man-Bat.
Yeah.
Come on.
I know. I mean, even the direction at all, where they show him the bat coming close and then going away, like he's being pulled by him, and the angles that they would use.
I remember seeing that pilot at WonderCon in Oakland the year before it premiered, and in the little tiny conference room upstairs at that convention, and just losing our minds. Like, was it a show like this? And that's rare that you even as good as Superman and Justice League were later, and the heights they went to, those pilots weren't as good as On Leather Wings.
Right.
So it's not fair to compare Batman or this show to that pilot.
Right.
And I realize that, but no, it's definitely good enough to keep watching. But the funny thing is, more than anything else, I got done with it, and it made me want to go back and watch old episodes of Batman the Animated Series and Brave and the Bold. Because I thought the Brave and the Bold take was fantastic.
See, you say that, I couldn't stand it. I wanted to, and I watched every episode with the hope, but I was never a fan of that, Two Fists of Justice kind of cornball.
I love 50s Batman, and that show was all 50s.
There you go. That's exactly what that is. So if that's your thing, then that was and they did do some good stuff with it. Like when they did that dark episode that showed his origin, and you're like, ooh, there it is. There's Batman. He's mad.
The one that had Kevin Conroy as the Phantom Stranger and Mark Hamill as the Spectre.
That was great. That was
they also did like long-term story arcs with Starro that were great, and they killed off Wanna Beast in this crazy self-sacrifice way and never brought him back. That was pretty good.
That was great. Love that.
Yeah. So they
Wanna Beast.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And Detective Chimp shows up a lot. You gotta love Detective Chimp.
Yep.
And when they would do a Shazam episode, it would be a Shazam episode. You would get Dr. Savannah and his weird kids and giant robots, and they would go crazy with it. So,
sure.
I gotta go back and watch. I definitely need to go back and watch those again.
Overall,
it's definitely worth it. I'm gonna stick with it.
Definitely. We started watching, and we got to go back to it. Beware the Batman. That was one of those that got yanked before you got to see all the episodes.
Yeah.
But when you see all the episodes, it's a brilliant arc. Like they actually tie everything together.
Yeah, and that one, if I remember, leaned heavily on some of those weird Morrison Batman villains, like Mr. Pig and some others, which I think was a brave thing to do because anytime you start a Batman show, everybody wants to go back and use the old Road Gallery, which was why I thought Brave and the Bold did well too, is they almost never used the main Rose Gallery, or if they did, it would just be in cameo scenes. But they really went deep with their villains.
Yeah, they I mean, I didn't like the fact that they made what's his face Anarchy. Anarchy looked like Moon Knight because they did them all in white.
Yeah, no, I like that red costume.
Yeah, without a doubt. But despite that, everything else, like the action was great, the stories were great and new, and they had Alfred be like a big, strong military man, and that was training them, and I liked that. And episode by episode, I loved it. But when I finally got to see all of the episodes, I went, man, because I remember when it came out, it was when The Dark Knight came out, and there was the shooting in the movie theater. And then they went, we got to change all the guns in the animated series. And now it's delayed. And they canceled it before it even came out. So you got maybe 5 episodes in that they bothered to show. And then one late night on Toonami, they're like, we're going to dump them all. So from 9 until 3 in the morning, you can watch them. Well, at the time, I'm like, record, because I'm never going to get them again. Well, now you can, but
the season was what, 13 episodes?
I think so.
Okay,
I think so. And
the one I didn't like much at the time, and I didn't give it a fair shot to, and then later I found out they did some innovative stuff, was that series The Batman, the one that came out after.
Yeah. Oh, with the pointy chin.
Yeah. First season, I gave it a try, didn't like it.
Right.
Later seasons, they go heavy into Justice League.
Yep, I agree. And those were the great ones. Those
were very good.
Once Robin comes along, they get great. Because now you're like, all right, you tried your little thing, nobody cared.
Yeah.
Now you understand to go back, and you can feel that shift. They brought in Batgirl, they had Robin, they made Robin fun, and then they started bringing the Justice League members. And they had. Do you ever see the one with Superman?
Yeah.
That's great because they flip it. They flip it where it's Bruce saying, "You should probably join us. I don't need anybody. Yeah. I'm Superman." That's that. I appreciated that take because usually it's the other way around. That's great. I loved it. I wish they used Superman more, quite frankly.
Yeah.
Especially when they did do the Justice League.
Yeah.
Why didn't you have Superman there?
Yeah.
I think it was Tim Daly too who did the voice.
I think it was.
Right? Because I felt good watching that again. I'm like,
yeah.
There's the chemistry that I like.
Yeah.
And then they one of the things that I'll never understand and never get over was how they canceled Justice League Action before it even began.
Yeah.
Right? And those are excellent. Those are like continuations of the Justice League that we love.
Yeah.
You got these quick little stories with all these great characters that maybe you didn't even care about, like the what was his name? Drove the space taxi?
Yeah, Space Cabbie.
Space Cabbie.
Yeah.
I never knew that character, cared about that character. You watch these, you're like, oh, all right, I kind of like that character.
Space Cabbie never got that much love in the comics, by the way.
Right?
I mean, you would see him in Mystery in Space like every third issue or so, but man, he's in the opening credits for Justice League Action.
Yeah. Give me that. And the fact that they had Mark Hamill be 4 characters in one episode.
That was great. Yeah.
Brilliant.
I just saw last night that whole run is on Amazon Prime now.
Yeah. Well, good. It should be. But again, these TV people or whatever you call them now, who makes these decisions? It's made. It's already made.
Yeah.
Put it out.
Yeah. Well, just like the Batgirl movie.
Oh, that's legendary. That whole story. Wait a minute. You actually scrapped a finished movie?
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Unbelievable. And the same thing happened with Acme versus Coyote.
Okay, you told me more about that. Is there anything late? I thought that might come out now.
There were talk of them trying to shop it around to other studios, but I don't think anybody ever bought it.
Why would they not? I mean, that seems like a layup.
I would so too, especially because it had such good buzz.
Yeah,
everybody who saw it said it was great, but so far no one's put a bid in on it. So I don't know if we're even going to see that.
Looney Tunes is like the Muppets with me, where you're like, no, these need to always be around, and they always need to be making something new with them. Same thing. I mean, really, same thing with any of the superhero stuff.
Yeah,
but in particular, they don't do enough with Looney Tunes and Muppets that they should.
Both of them are. I mean, not more so for Looney Tunes. I think it's in today's market. It's harder to get them in a place where they can be financially successful.
Sure.
Because I mean, the track record for films is pretty mixed. I saw that last Space Jam movie, and whew, it was rough.
Because I never watched the original. I'm not a sports guy.
Yeah.
So that appeal wasn't there.
I mean, and I didn't love the first Space Jam, but Michael Jordan at least has some charisma. LeBron James, not so much. It's just, I love James being in town as an LA guy. Don't get me wrong. I love LeBron James as a Laker, but I'm not spending 2 hours in a movie theater with him.
You're like, Bugs, we're going to need you to do a lot of this heavy lifting in this movie.
Absolutely.
So what else is on your list? Because I know we have lots to discuss.
Yeah.
Which I love, by the way, that you bothered to have a list, because that's good stuff.
Yeah. For one thing, at San Diego Comic-Con this year was the first year that McFarlane actually had a booth there on the floor.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, and so they're showing up a lot of it. A lot of the stuff is coming in. The two things that struck me with McFarlane's stuff now for DC, he seems to have finally realized that the market for what he's offering is in the classic DC stuff, because there's every apartment now has like almost, it's not even pre-crisis stuff, but everything before the New 52. So all of a sudden there's the Metallo, who's from the 70s Metallo, and
I saw your picture. I'm like, that looks cool.
And it's Sergeant Rock, and he's done Darkseid like 2 or 3 times in his line before, and it's always the new Jim Lee Darkseid with the weird Omega thing on his chest. And the new one is just classic Kirby Darkseid.
Well, like I said to you, the thing with the eye.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That looks. I mean, I always love Darkseid anyway. As I showed you with my superpowers, guys, which I have in one of those buckets. I have to keep them nearby.
Well, the new McFarlane Darkseid is just basically a scale up of
that. Yeah, and it's got the cape and everything.
The cape and the medallion, and it's just a classic head.
And it's cloth.
Oh yeah, and cloth wired cape. So
come on.
Yeah.
That's how you do it. That's how you do
it. He's really like, these are the guys buying this stuff is like, fans of the classic stuff.
Well, now correct me if I'm wrong. Did he finally switch back to 6-inch?
No, it's still at 7-inch scale.
Son of a bitch. Well, that's why I can't get them. I will not get them. They're too.
I was a late adopter for that very same reason, but finally you started doing more of the classic stuff, and it pulled me in. And then I was like, well, I'll just do a classic JLA set. And then it's like, well, if he's making, man, I'll get a Manhunter. I know.
Yeah,
well, if he's making Max Mercury, I need Max Mercury. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing too. I would want Max Mercury. Yeah. I want that Batman Beyond Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, that was one of the Comic-Con exclusives this year.
Yeah. I mean, I would have had he been a 6-inch, I probably would pre-order him.
Yeah.
By the way, did I tell you we now have it's new to me. I think I did a toy store in my neighborhood, like 5 minutes away.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, and I go in there. Well, that's how I got my quick kick. I walked in there and I went, all right, I want to see. Holy crap! Look at this store. This store is incredible. You've got rarities. You've got the hard to find stuff, and the prices were reasonable. The prices were what they should be, not trying to mark them up so they make a big profit. So anytime I think there's a new guy that I might want to get, I stop in there first before I look online. And they had all that you're talking about, and they're bringing them in, and they have the harder to get the old one. He even has the old Toy Biz horrible X-Men Wolverine plastic with the claws that are doing that kind of thing. Yeah. He has that. I'm like, well, it's good to look at and laugh at, but
the best from that line was they made a motorcycle for Wolverine, and it had his face on the front of the bike, not a mask face, but a Logan face.
Who the heck is building that? First of all,
it's supremely silly.
Yeah, and then, by the way, I don't even know why I'm bothered to wear this mask, because that's my face right there. It's the first thing you're seeing.
The only other guy who does that, who puts his own face on his vehicle, is a Joker.
Yeah, and the Joker makes sense.
Yeah, but the other thing with the McFarlane stuff is, and I don't know how he gets away with it as far as tooling and stuff, is how many vehicles he makes.
I love that he's doing that. That Beetle bug.
Yeah.
Oh.
And by the way, the Beetle, the bug, they finally came out with the Booster Gold, and he looks perfect inside the windshield. But like I just picked up the tumbler, and it comes with a Morgan Freeman figure, and then they're about to do a Batman Forever Batmobile, that lights up the neon green.
I can't believe. Yeah, I know. Wow, I can't believe you got the tumbler that size.
Yeah, I know. And it's a 2-seater, so it's got the width.
Oh God, man, I'm telling you that. Well, that's part of the reason why I'm putting all these here, because I have them, and like you said, eventually it becomes clutter.
Yeah.
If you go too far, you just go, I'm sick of looking at the same stuff, but at the same time, I'm not packing them away.
Right.
I have to move them around and get different use out of them, show them in the background so people can enjoy them. So even like, where is it? This side, I have Wolverine and black costume Spider-Man. I have Iron Fist and Batman. You know, they're the figures that I got for my son.
Yeah.
That, I mean, he enjoys them just as much as I do, but I'm like, you know, can I use some of them? Like that Transformer that's behind the Stargate here, that was mine. Shockwave. You know, by the way, still goes when you pull the trigger. The batteries in it still work.
Nice.
From a few years ago when I gave it to Mikey, I put new batteries in it. And he goes, yeah, don't do the other one, because the other one goes, you know, but I'm like, it's still, all right, it still works. So I thought, can I borrow some of your guys? Because otherwise they're in a bucket in his room that he'll occasionally put certain ones on his shelf and then swap them out. Well, might as well do that here.
Yeah.
Because you're right. After a while, you're like, I have all this stuff. What am I doing with it?
Yeah. No, yeah, you gotta swap it out and rotate your shelves.
Mm-hmm. And display it.
Yeah.
I mean, just the pictures that you show me, I'm like, oh, man, I don't know if I'd ever want to leave if I walked into your place. Like, oh, look at that. And that's what it's like at that toy store.
Yeah.
Like I went in last Friday and he goes, oh, hey, how you doing? I said, I'm good. I just had to see if there's anything new. So I don't want to miss out on anything. I mean, he would order it if it's available, but I check out every shelf, but I'm typically there. I'm trying to resist getting any new Transformers, because the Transformers that they're making based on the Netflix show, by the way, there's a couple animated shows.
Yeah.
Excellent. I'm only 2 episodes into Battle for Cybertron, which is them before they came to Earth. It's excellent. But then they do another version that comes after it, which is them on Earth.
Yeah.
And the designs are excellent. Well, the toys are excellent because, you know, you and I can agree on this. A lot of these toys were not playable per se because the arms don't move.
Right.
You transform them and that's it. They do this and you'd have to use your imagination. Well, now their joints all bend and move.
Yeah.
And that's what these new figures do. So I'm resisting that. But I go in to check in on my, you know, G.I. Joe guys. And I got that new Duke. The Duke of kind of like that. But no, it's actually the Duke. Actually, the Stalker looks exactly like that. Stalker is classic Stalker. I got we've gone through this. I have Hawk, but the Duke that I got is classic yellow shirt.
Yeah.
Looks
on
like,
the retro card.
Exactly like that. And
and
comes with the gun that the animated series would give to all the guys because it was easier. So it's that one rifle that everybody carried.
Right.
So they give him his own gun, but they also give him that. Plus, you could swap out the hands.
Yeah.
You get the helmet with the visor that you could lift up. So I went to this guy, said, that should be out. He couldn't find it. He goes, oh, no, we don't get that. So that one I had to order online. That felt good.
Yeah.
That because the other one that I have, hang on 2 seconds, is this guy. No, where are we? I got the Tiger.
Oh yeah, the Tiger Force.
Tiger Force. I'm like Tiger Suit. I don't. That's a Katie Tunstall album. Yeah. So I got this one. I could have gotten when this is the first version that came out. This was the one where they give him the shin guards, which you don't need.
Yeah.
And they were doing that with all the guys. Like they're gung ho. I got the retro one, as you know, because the new one is all battle armored up and it looks stupid.
Yeah.
But I thought if I'm getting one like of Duke, not knowing I was getting the better one, I thought I'm going to get this one because it's a green shirt, kind of it works, and it's enough of a. Thank God I did, because if I had two that were wearing the yellow shirt, I would feel like I rebought the same thing twice.
Right.
You know what I mean? Well, in this case, there's a little diversity here. He's cool. I mean, they really are cool. I mean, even on the belt, where are we? On the belt, he's got binoculars that come off.
Yeah. No,
it's amazing.
Almost all the figures in this line have all their gear on the figure attached in some way. It's crazy.
It really is. I mean, I
that and the way they're also leaning into vehicles, which I never expected them to do.
Show me. Oh, over there. Yeah, see? And again, I got to resist. I know. Look at that. I mean, the Jeep, too. Look at that. Now, wait. The thing in the front, the hook, does that do anything?
Everything is just posable.
Okay.
But yeah, they did the Vamp, which was the Jeep, which was amazing. And then they did the same thing that Hasbro did back in the 80s, is they then converted that to the Cobra Jeep by adding doors to it. And I just got that one. I haven't opened it yet. Ooh. But then at San Diego, they were showing off the Cobra Rattler, the big plane.
I know.
Amazing.
Well, I mean, I want to get Wild Bill. Okay? But I'm not getting the copter. I can't. If I'm not getting the Jeep, which is something I've always wanted, I really do. I want to get Clutch. I want to get the Jeep, but I have to resist. If you get the Jeep, they give you can get add-ons. You can get the doors. You can get the gun in the back. You can build off of it, which is amazing, and bravo to them. But I looked, if you get the copter, you get like 4 guys.
Yeah.
Wild Bill, Crazy Legs, the other parachute guy.
Airborne, maybe?
Yeah, Airborne.
Yeah.
And then one
Glenda.
other. Who is it?
No, it's Glenda.
Who the heck is she?
Glenda was a rare Australian variant of basically the female helicopter pilot.
Okay.
I think it only came out in either Australia or Europe or somewhere. But they did make the figure, so it's a classified version of that. So it's a second charter pilot.
Killing me.
Yeah.
I mean, I do have a problem with the fact that they colored the parachute guys like all in black instead of having some fun with them. They're all just in black.
Yeah.
Where Crazy Legs had the cushiony red.
Well, I'd imagine what they'll do is then they'll give Crazy Legs a retro release in the colors of the old figure. That way the black one can stay exclusive with the Dragonfly.
Yeah. I agree with that, and they're so smart. These people that are doing these toys, Hasbro, I think it is.
Yeah.
Bravo, Hasbro.
No, they're doing great stuff.
As I say often, you're doing God's work. You really are. You're giving us what we want.
The Rattler comes with the pilot, Wild Weasel, the gunner, and then the Baroness in a pilot's uniform.
In the red outfit.
Yeah.
Oh, see, and I always wanted the Rattler. I always thought the Rattler looked amazing.
Yeah, it's enormous, but at the same time, it's not so big that it's like it takes over an entire coffee table. It's not like the old aircraft carrier.
Yeah. Which again, we've talked about that. It'd be cool to have, but then what? Then what do you do with it?
Yeah, it's a coffee table.
It's a coffee table, and even with your imagination, how many times can you land and take off a plane?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As much as you make fun of the toolbox headquarters, that at least gave you a lot within it.
Yeah, it moved for one thing because it had the big treads. It opened up. There was a lot going on.
There was a prison in there. There was a command center. And the Technodrome that I have, I always loved because you had and in the middle, you got an extra plane, the drone. Oh, man.
And the way that the silo for that jet would iris out and open up. So well done.
So well done. I think somebody said, can you imagine and they probably will, if Hasbro does the larger version of that?
That would be too big for me.
I know.
It's an ottoman, basically.
Yeah.
Because the original one is huge.
Yeah. I still have it. The tops kind of got broke off from just being in the attic and things falling. But like, how they would have the little things pop up. Those side things broke, but it's still pretty much together. It's a little weather or age stained, I guess you'd say.
Mine's still in the box.
Wow. I think I still have the box. Once I put it together, you're not putting that back in the box.
Well, I found a way, actually. Because
Really?
I did bust it open. And if you just pop out the cone, you can slide it back inside the box.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I still have my Justice League. I still have the box from my Justice League headquarters.
What the superpowers?
Yeah.
The Hall of Justice?
Yeah.
Yeah.
With that art from Luis.
So good.
Yeah.
Did you order the style guide?
No.
No, the famous Garcia Lopez DC style guide he did in the 80s that was the basis for all that. They're finally publishing it as an actual book that you could buy.
Really?
Yeah.
I'll snag that at some point. I'd like that.
I'll say that my friend who runs 30th Dimension has had 2 or 3 big pieces about it, and I'll send the links to those because there's the links right to where you can buy it directly.
Nice.
Yeah.
I got a speaking of rarities, talking about really rarities, one of the hosts of the Quantum Leap podcast had done Quantum Leap books. And he had done one where it's really a GoFundMe kind of thing.
A Kickstarter type deal.
Yeah. So he had done one years ago when the original series was over. Well, now he redid that volume. Plus, he was doing the new volume for the new show. And then he was going to do a 3rd volume on all the devices and blah, 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 blah. So I reached out to him, being in the same circles and all. I said, I see you're redoing. He actually re-edited, add stuff, fix stuff. And I thought, look, I better get that. I better get that. I know it's an actual paper thing. I can't get it digitally. And it's really that thin paper. It's all black and white.
Mm-hmm.
Be very, very careful with touching it kind of thing. I better snag it while I can because once it's gone, I think it's going to be gone or hard to get. Well, I got in right under the table to where he even added my name in the credits. I'm the last name. I'm the last name added. Right? Into that book. And I said, great, I can't wait to get it. So I got it and I opened it up and it's even got the what do you call it? The bookmark silk.
Yeah, the ribbon type thing.
The ribbon has that. So this is top end.
Nice.
I mean, he goes into so much detail, like that poster on the wall in that one scene. That's blah, 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 and that goes off on its own thing. A week later, he died.
Oh,
yeah, way too young. Facebook friend and everything. And then somebody said, "Yeah, we're waiting to hear on him how he's doing." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" I go in. They said he had a heart. They didn't know what happened. They kind of said it was a heart attack, but there was something else. It was something like medically going on that created the. You know what I mean? And long story short, it was like New Year's or Christmas and gone.
Oh,
yeah. And this was a young guy. This guy went way before his time. Had a wife and kids, little kids. But boy, when I look at that, I'm like, and they have made a nice fuss over him. He did leave a mark on the world.
Yeah.
Besides the podcast, I mean, his books, he got the people from like the producers from the show were part of that book.
That's cool. That's
yeah.
cool.
And they all pay tribute to him because he was just a good guy. But yeah, I thank God I got it when I did was my point because
yeah.
And it was worth it. It was only $30-some.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah. I think that style guide for the Garcia Lopez is only like $35-$40.
This is thick. This one is like you're gonna keep a dog on the floor kind of thing if you put it on him kind of. So yeah, what else?
Speaking of scarcity, San Diego Comic-Con, always my traditional Sunday back issue crawl with my buddy Chris Ryle, where we go diving for back issues. I found stuff this year I've never even seen before, and usually every year there's like less and less Golden Age and Silver Age comics there. This year, I don't know, everything was lined up. A couple things. Gorgeous copy, Justice League number 3. Beautiful copy.
Yeah, it is.
Cap Marvel, Mr.
Oh,
Tony.
wow.
Yeah.
What number?
This would have been 113. I think this is 1945.
Woo-wee.
Yeah. First appearance of the Red Bee.
Oh, wow. You know how I know the Red Bee? You know how I know him? I know him. Go ahead.
Either All-Star Squadron or Starman.
Nope.
No, what?
I know him from the Who's Who?
Who's Who? Yes.
I had one issue of that out of my rare comics as a kid. I got it because I thought I'm going to learn about all these guys, and he was in there.
Yeah. One of the first Batman annuals.
Wow.
Yeah.
Look at that, Two-Face and everything.
And the gorilla boss of Gotham City.
Yeah. When they were really like pushing gorillas.
But there was a period where apparently somebody at DC said that there were like 5 things that would always ensure great sales on the cover. If you had a gorilla, if you had a hero crying, if you had a something on fire, and if you had a motorcycle.
Wow. Well,
if you had a gorilla on a motorcycle on fire crying, that's
gold. Well, Comic Tropes did an episode. That's a fun one to check in on. He does like 20-minute intelligent breakdowns of stuff. And he did why are there gorillas all over the place during this time? And he gets into it. He gets into the guts of why. Yeah. And it's like ridiculous. It's stupid. Like why did DC go, gorillas, make them all gorillas?
Gorillas equal sales, yes. But this was the biggest find. Famously, Will Eisner's Spirit character, although there were some comic books, mostly it was a newspaper feature.
Yep.
And the way it worked was you would get a whole Spirit comic book in your new Sunday paper.
Yep.
Exactly.
I don't know where I got this from because see how it's all dinged up here?
Yeah.
With it's this paper cover. But I'm like, no, I'll take it.
But I found one of the actual Spirit inserts from the newspapers.
Wow.
I've never seen one before.
How much they nail you for that?
Wasn't that bad, actually. I think it was like $80.
Woo! But it's old.
I mean, this is from Sunday, September 22nd, in 1940.
Wow.
This is before Eisner went off to war.
So there you go. Yeah, it's not bad for $80.
I've never, in all conventions, ever seen any original Spirit sections. And they had a bunch. I'm like, all right, I got to pick one. So I had to make sure it was one of the ones before Eisner got drafted. So it was definitely all Eisner work. And I had to get one with kind of that classic Spirit black with the logo.
Without a doubt. Now, that's frame worthy.
Oh, yeah. This is going to go up on the wall.
That's what I would think. Yeah.
I'm going to read it once it's going on the wall.
Right? You have to.
Yeah.
That's kind of the law. If you don't do that, people are like, what'd you bother for then?
Yeah. No, it was just too pretty to pass up.
Well, the things that I have on my wall that are superhero drawn from people, I have a Daredevil over there that I'm like, it has to be, I would love to have more, but it has to be iconic and it should look like it should be in a frame as opposed to just a panel of something that I like. Right. You know what I mean? So if it's a cool cover or a montage or something, like, all right, that you got to do that.
Well, with me, it's a mix. It's either I've got some original art, like I've got an original Walt Kelly Pogo strip over here, or I've got pages from some of my comics from my friends like Elena Casagrande and David Messina. But then I've also got just some originals I've gotten from like greats over the years. Like behind me here, this is a George Perez Zatanna
Oh yeah. Oh
yeah. And I've got my a buddy of mine got me an original commission of Yellow Jacket by Neil Adams. Like that's over on this wall. Yeah, and then I had Tony Harris do me an original Starman piece a couple of years ago, and it's beautiful. So
Did
yeah,
you-
it's kind of a mix.
Did you remodel behind you? Because Mikey was like, "Oh, I love how I like that you're wearing your Muppet shirt for him because he's got that Yoda Kermit picture."
Oh yeah, the Yoda and Kermit's still over here on this wall.
Okay,
Yeah.
but he's paying attention. He's he's
Yeah.
he's always thrilled. He's like, "Oh, great, Scott's coming on." I'm like, yeah, well, he's the go-to guy for fun conversation.
Yeah.
Well, did I tell you one of the things I want to do on right where that door is put a nice comfy chair?
Oh yeah, yeah. Like I said, make it more of a lounge. Exactly.
Well, and that's the thing too. If I have shelves full of books around me,
Yeah.
I darn well should make it a place where I want to hang out and lay there and get away from everything. And
Yeah, make it a reading room. Absolutely.
yeah, so it's definitely, if it doesn't recline with the leg kick out, I want at least an ottoman.
Yeah.
You know? So I'll show you that whenever that happens. It's we're looking frantically now because once we set our minds to getting something, we're like, go, 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 go.
Yeah.
And it's Labor Day weekend, so everything is on sale. Like Hot Topic has a 70% off thing. So I went in there and I right before we got on, I bought a button-down Indiana Jones shirt.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the classic.
Where it looks like it says Indiana Jones, all little stamps all over it, but like China and Egypt and blah, 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 but also there's a whip and there's the hat, that kind of thing.
I almost weekend I saw on the Shop Disney in their collectible section. Last year they started doing some Indiana Jones replica props.
Oh yeah.
The Sankara stone and the headpiece and the Holy Grail.
Mm-hmm.
They have one from Last Crusade where it's that bottom part of the shield where he takes the rubbing off of.
Yeah, or it's actually the rock. It's the rock.
The sleeper. Yeah, I was like, it's tempting. Maybe I'll wait till next time I go to the parks. I see it up front. I see it up close.
Well, I think it's plastic, or it's not plastic, but it's not rock. That's the good thing. They're like, no, it looks like it is, but you can actually carry it around and not hurt yourself.
Yeah, or hanging on your wall without worrying about it crashing down and being destroyed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh God. Well, I mean, I'm telling you, we everything is just so good, and I just want to get it all, and especially with Indiana Jones stuff, I'm like, Hot Topic nails you. Their prices for a T-shirt is stupid.
Yeah.
So I don't typically do a lot of my shopping there unless you're getting a deal. They had a Sherlock coat years ago from Benedict Cumberbatch, and it was identical. And at the time, it was on sale, and I didn't snag it, and I always wish I did, because now you can't find it, and anywhere you can find it, it's always overpriced. So when they said 70% off, I'm like, you know what? All right. Daredevil and Indiana Jones, I know they have stuff. Well, for $21, I got a button-down shirt. Worth it.
Not bad at all.
It was originally $43.99, and I'm like, okay, that's a good get. For $21, I'll buy that.
Yeah.
But yeah, boy, that Indiana Jones stuff, that always lives right up front in my mind. I don't know if and when we're going to get more Indiana Jones. There's a guy online, by the way, which I want to yell out. He's a yell out, shout out, whatever the hip way of saying it for these kids is. He give me 2 seconds. I want to find it because it's so good. He does the Tintin type art.
Okay.
Yeah. Which I want to actually invest in some Tintin book or movie or something. Give me two. Oh, here he is. Adam Murphy on, what is this? Instagram. Oh, you can't see it from the way that this is. Well, anyway, He was a story artist for Netflix. He worked at Disney for years, then Lucasfilm, Animal Magic, Marvel, and Nickelodeon. He jumps around with styles. And when you get a second, look up Adam Murphy art, it's called. He does Indiana Jones in the Tintin style.
That's cool.
It's amazing because what he does is he does his own team ups. He's done he's done Tintin with even MacGyver, like little shots. I'm like, you listen to me when I suggested it. Because he's doing like him with James Bond or him with that, or whoever it might be. But he does Indiana Jones in the Calvin and Hobbes art style. But he'll do new adventure covers like as though you were getting a book. And on the back, he'll do the description of what this is. So he's filling in the years of after the last movie.
That's
with
cool.
Him and Marion and Short Round as an adult. And they're going on adventures, and they bring him up to like modern day where he's in his 90s with the eye patch, if you want to go with that route. I think that timeline kind of got wiped out with the latest movie. But they fill in the gaps, and it's so good.
That's cool.
Oh, and it's the art where it's just the dot eyes and the eyebrow.
Yeah. The Irish kind of style. Totally.
Yeah. Simplistically beautiful. But he'll do what's another one? You're gonna love it. Him with Logan and Captain America during World War II.
I think I've seen that one. That one. Yeah. Although actually, now that you mentioned it, the eye patch Indy is still canon.
Okay, explain.
Because the last movie is like 67, 68.
So it could still happen.
And and when we see old Indy in Young Indiana Jones, that was meant to be present day, so that would have been like 85.
Well, he's in his 90s, I think, in that point. Because Indiana Jones is chronologically in the year that we're in.
Yeah,
it's like 1901, I think.
I wasn't a big fan of some of the old indie stuff in Young Indy because it kind of made him a bit of a buffoon. I thought.
Yes. Yep.
So
agreed.
I actually wouldn't mind if they did get rid of those. But speaking of Spielberg, have you seen the documentary about him on HBO Max?
No, but I will when you tell me.
It's very good. I just finished it. It's a really good just look back at like his entire career, his entire filmography. He participates in it, so it's a lot of interviews with him. But it's even-handed. I mean, he talks about his misses. He talks about the things that he didn't land or that he gets criticized for. It's just, and so much insight that I hadn't realized into how much of the themes in all of his movies are kind of tied together and tie into his family life as a kid. It's very fascinating.
Oh yeah. I listened to a podcast about him, or actually it was Inside. What did they call it? There's the making of Psycho, or the making of Jaws, and the making of The Exorcist. It's all by Wondery, I think. And when they do it, they do like a flashback type of thing to him as a Spielberg. Mm-hmm. Or him as their childhood to see where they get the idea of whatever. Yeah. And it's done really, really well, but it gave me a lot of insight, like you said, where you're like, oh, so that's why he likes hot rods. And that's why he, that kind of thing.
Well, it's funny. I have a friend of mine who was always a huge criticism about Close Encounters because he said that, no father would ever leave their kid to go off and go off with the aliens. But then you watch this documentary and you realize that that's a reflection of his upbringing, where like he's dealing with his father abandoning him.
Right. So yeah, why wouldn't he write that?
Yeah, but I never. And they talk about that, and it turns out that it wasn't actually his father who abandoned him; it was his mother who went off and who had an affair and left the family. But the father let the kids blame him because he thought it'd be easier. So all these movies were Spielberg working out this trauma that wasn't even real. And then when he found out, all of a sudden, his film work kind of shifts to being about the son getting back together with the father. And that's when you have Last Crusade. It's really interesting.
It's funny. Mikey in his spare time will randomly watch one of the indie movies. And he's like, man, I understand some of them get criticism, but man, you can't pick on Last Crusade. that is such a, and he's right. It's such a well-rounded, you get deeper into Indy's life and into his personal, because that's the thing about Indiana Jones. You love him as a hero adventurer, but you don't really know a lot about him.
Yeah.
You don't, which is why I think an animated series and comic book thing is brilliant, because you can dive into more diversity and levels of who he is. But Last Crusade gave you his dad, his messed up relationship with his dad, and how that helped form him and his views. And then the resolution in the end where, it all pays off.
Yeah, no, I was just watching some of Last Crusade the other day, and it holds up really well.
It really, I mean, I love them all, despite any of the little nitpicks that we as spoiled viewers can have. I always am thankful for them. And I love the whole, what's the word? I love what Indiana Jones is. I love his look. I love what the feeling is when I watch Indiana Jones, and it makes me want more. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. Right, because the stuff I love this. This makes me, you can feel the adventure rise up inside you. The other side of it is we didn't get enough of it.
Yeah,
and like we go around that loop of the last movie was a great movie, except it wasn't. Had there been 10 to 20 other Indiana Jones movies, that movie would have landed better.
Yeah, I think so.
It's still great, but it's a payoff for an adventure that we never got to see.
Mm-hmm.
This should have been the okay, he's going to relax a little bit now. Instead, it was whoa, why is he not being more adventurous? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, the crazy thing about Indiana Jones too is that, I mean, because of the success of all the films and the impact on the culture, he's seen as this kind of like, archetype, as if he's always existed alongside of like Sherlock Holmes and Tarzan and Batman and Superman, when actually no, he wasn't really. I mean, it gets sprung from like three Ryans, from Lucas, from Spielberg, and Ford, and they created this character that basically everyone thinks of as one of the greats of like genre adventure, and you don't realize that he wasn't even there before 1980.
Right. I mean, that really says a lot about what a great character he is.
Yeah.
The fact that, 100 years from now, people are still going to know who Indiana Jones is.
The other thing that was crazy that was revealed in this documentary is that, so he and Lucas are pitching it around town, and everybody wanted to make it, but nobody wanted to make it with Spielberg directing, because all of his movies had gone so far over budget at that point. Jaws and Close Encounters were both big hits, but they'd both gotten way over budget and way over schedule. And then between those two was 1941. That was a giant bomb. And
right.
Nobody would pick it up until finally Paramount did. And so, and Spielberg had to promise to make sure this would stay under budget and under schedule. But that's what Lucas said. Okay, I'll have you direct this, but I'm only going to have you direct it if you promise me that if it's a hit, you'll do 2 more. Because at that point, before the movie gets made, Lucas is thinking, I think this is going to be something where we're going to want multiple movies.
Yeah.
So that's why we got at least 2 more out of Spielberg, because of that.
Which is why I want to shake all 3 of them that they waited so long between them. Like, really? Because this is not to sound like, the spoiled viewer, but as a writer, I know this. You can crank those out. I mean, there are certain key elements you need to have. I got that. But they're easy to do. The fun is the in-between personality stuff, which they always got hung up on the MacGuffin. But I wish they didn't. I wish they understood that nobody cares about the MacGuffin ultimately.
And I also think a big part of that delay was after Last Crusade. So that's over, and the Star Wars movies are for all the tours is over. I think Harrison Ford got more interested in doing like serious stuff and not doing as much action. He would do with action stuff here and there, like Air Force One, and the Fugitive, but he was doing so much more other kinds of films. I think Ford was the kind of the breaks in future indie movies for a long time.
I wonder
to go back.
I wonder, because every time he would talk about it, he'd go, "No, that's my favorite role ever," and you know that's what I want to always do until I'm dead.
Yeah.
So yeah, you kind of like. I wish I was in the room when they were discussing these things.
Yeah.
Just to go, okay, you shut up. You have a good idea, and here's the element that you're getting hung up on. Let me help you, and then just push it forward. I wish it was like the Fast and the Furious movies. I wish we got so many of them that people were gagging on them.
Yeah.
And then you could go, yeah, but at least we have them. And I'd rather have enough in the pot to criticize an individual spice than not have anything in the bowl.
I agree.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna send you there's a Twitter page for Indiana Jones where they daily come out with new photos and little stories about the production of all these movies.
Really?
You'd love it. I love it every day. And it's so insightful and fascinating. Like one story was, I guess when they were doing Temple of Doom, I'm going to guess, one of the people working on the project, I don't know who he was, but he got in the face of somebody and yelled at them in front of everybody and was like, I don't know if he was like an assistant director, whatever, like Spielberg was off doing something. So this guy had to do like the B roll or something and screamed at somebody and really upset them. And it got reported back to Spielberg, who hopped on a plane, flew back, told the guy to meet him at the airport.
Oh, I read this story. That was on Twister.
Was it Twister?
It was Twister. It was Jan de Bont.
He doesn't even come all the way off the plane. He steps down the steps.
He stays on the stair car, screaming at him, gets back in and flies off. I love that story.
Right? Because Spielberg has always been a beautiful person to me.
Yeah.
Every time I see him, he's good to children. He loves everybody. He's a force for good. And if someone's going to yell at somebody, that's when you do it. That's when there's a good time to get angry. And he always, that story, I'm like, good.
My favorite detail is he wouldn't even get off the plane.
I'm too busy to do this. You a-hole.
You come out to the bottom of the stair car. I'm going to come halfway down and ream you out, get back in my plane, and fly off. That's a baller move.
That is something. I mean, also to find out like him with the Back to the Future stuff.
Yeah.
When they had to go, this isn't working. Who's going to tell Spielberg? And then he's like, no, you're right. It's not working. Try again to see if they can let Michael J. Fox do this.
Yeah.
And then they said, look, we tried it with the other guy. We need you to, did I tell you that Leah Thompson, when I met her, she was telling me?
No, she had stories?
Well, yeah, we only had a couple minutes together. We met her at the Chiller about a year or two ago. And she's so sweet and so nice and just a real good person. And I said, it dawned on me recently that you were with the actor.
Stoltz,
Eric Stoltz. And not just because everybody mostly from Back to the Future was at this Chiller thing. Christopher Lloyd, we stood in line for 2 hours to meet. Another sweetheart, but we figured now's our chance to do it.
Yeah.
Go over to see Leah. And she's sweet and wonderful, and we get pictures with her. And I said, it's funny. It dawned on me that you were in some kind of Wonderful with Eric Stoltz too, besides Back to the Future. And she goes, yeah, he almost ruined that movie too.
Oh, jeez.
And I don't want to pry, but he's known as being like a method actor, pain in the rear end, a-hole guy who ruins everything.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to go, tell me more, because we had limited time.
Yeah.
But I kind of went, oh, geez. And I've since read stories of him on Back to the Future where they're just trying to bring it together and he's trying to change the script on them.
Well, I've seen a couple of the clips that they've released with him in it, and it just
There's only a couple.
Only
Like
a
him
couple.
leaning in
I know,
at the diner.
but he's not playing. And I would Michael J. Fox. He's playing it for comedy, but he's still playing it real. It's not like a strictly comedic performance,
right?
But Stoltz is playing it so serious that there's no joy in it.
Right. And also, I mean, there's no joy in it. He's very dark. And even his wardrobe was horrible. His wardrobe was not even good 80s. It was like, this looks stupid even in the 80s kind of thing. With that black, jacket and the buttons on it. But I got reading about it, like during the diner scene where he sees his father and they do the whole lean in thing. He was like arguing with Crispin Glove and going, no, we should do it this way. Dude, you're not the writer. Shut your mouth and do your part. So, at some point, I'd love to have Leah on and chat, but I don't want to pry.
Yeah.
Like when people want to bring up those stories, sure, I'll listen.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to get
dig for it. Exactly.
Give me the dirt. That way I'll get viewers. Like, it's not what this is about. Yeah. But yeah, you hear when they decide to share with you, I'm like, okay.
By the way, what's bad when you're in a movie with Crispin Glover and you're still the difficult one.
Yeah, you're the crazy one out of that whole thing.
That's a bad sign.
You know what he was great in too, by the way? Charlie's Angels.
I never saw those films.
Okay, they're fun. They're goofy, lighthearted.
He's like an assassin guy that they fight, right?
Hmm?
Isn't he like an assassin guy that they fight or something?
Yeah. And he's creepy as can be in it and very good at it. I'm like, okay, because this is after it all came out that he was nuts.
Yeah.
So the fact that he got work at all, like, all right. And then he did that. I'm like, you did it. No, credit where credit's due.
Tim Burton used him in one of the Alice in Wonderland films, and he was pretty good in that too.
Huh.
Yeah. I always like the guy's work when I see him working in something. He's always good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Speaking of which, I keep seeing blurbs about, and I already picked up on this, Michael Richards.
No, Kramer?
Yeah. Complete a-hole to work with. Just, you watch the bloopers and the outtakes where everybody's laughing. Oh, you messed up a line. He gets upset. Dude, he's just mad. He's like, oh. And you're being filmed, by the way.
Yeah.
He's like, all right, guys, can we, all right, we'll go back to one. And like, they start laughing. Like there's the one scene where Jerry knocks on his door and he opens up the door. He's like, what's going on? And he's smoking and everything. And he's supposed to have the rings under his eyes. Well, Jerry is not an actor. So he can't keep it together anyway.
Yeah.
He's just trying to get through his scene. And he keeps laughing. And you just see Michael Richards go, like he gives him a. So now I keep seeing stories come up. I don't know why, but it's a Seinfeld thing that I did not sign up for. That's like, here's a behind the scenes story. What's her face? Sarah Silverman was on an episode years ago. And she has a podcast. Apparently, she had said on her podcast that they were doing a scene where they were in bed together and supposed to be talking, and she messed up a line, which you do. That's just how it goes. And he screamed at her and humiliated her in front of a live audience, cast and crew, because, he takes it so seriously. So that way, his craft. And then I guess the next day they're filming a scene in Monks where they're sitting across the table from each other. And as they're doing the setup, he starts talking to her about, buying a house and the market and blah, 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 blah. And she goes, to her credit, by the way, goes, oh, no, we're not doing this. What? You're not talking to me like what you did yesterday didn't happen. You don't ever talk to me like that again. And to his credit, he apologized. And I guess since then would like check in with her about doing stand-up.
Well, that's good. I mean, at least when somebody calls him on it, he didn't double down on it.
Well, and also, did we talk about that where Jason Alexander was on a podcast with Newman, and he goes, "Oh, apparently there's this story about us being rude."
I did see that clip.
Okay,
it was we haven't talked about, but it was the guy who played Quark on Deep Space Nine.
Yeah, and he's been on Stargate.
And he said it was the least welcome set he'd ever been on. And I thought the look on Wayne Knight's face was hilarious because Jason Alexander was like, I thought we were a very welcoming crew. I thought we were very welcoming to our guests. And the look on Wayne Knight's face, clearly that was not the case. He's like, the way he's like, oh, really? Is that what you thought? Were you there? It's like, you just kind of.
Well, Wayne Knight tried to spin it where, no, you're professionals. No, you were doing
his first reaction was like, yeah.
But yeah, because I had heard these stories for years, and then there's the clip of Armin that you said, Quark, doing a convention. He goes, "Oh, I effing hate them. No, it was the worst day." And he actually tells the story about how he sat there in between takes. They're all talking to each other, and he chimes in, and they completely ignore him. And I get that, especially knowing who Michael Richards is.
Yeah.
Jerry isn't aware of it, but he's very much an elitist that way. And he doesn't care enough to go, "Oh, hello, person." That's, they had their clique, and they were a tight clique. But I've heard many stories of how ignorant they were.
Yeah.
Did I tell you the story about the guy who played Elaine's
Oh yeah. Well, that guy is famously
a nut.
Yeah.
He was insane. I listened to the Dana Gould podcast. Yeah. And he does that section where he dives into this guy's history.
My favorite part of that podcast is those middle sections.
The middle part, right?
Yeah. True Tales from Wayneville. Yeah.
Yeah, I adore. I mean, he makes any topic fun to listen to, even if I don't care. But that middle section, you're like, this is what I'm here for. Give me more of that.
Great. Yeah.
Well, he does one on him, and he talks about how he used to just punch cops in the face.
Yeah.
Like, you nut. And then he was on the set of Seinfeld, and they were planning on having him come back like George's father and Jerry's parents. And they liked working with them, but while they were in between takes, they look over and he's going through the kitchen stealing the silverware.
Lawrence Tierney.
That's it.
Yeah.
And right? And they're looking at him, they're going, "Larry, what are you doing?" "Nothing."
It's nothing.
Like, you're pocketing our silverware, dude. Why? And they're like, "Okay, we don't need him to come back."
You mentioned Sarah Silverman. If you get a chance to go to look at it, Seinfeld's show "Comedians in Cars with Coffee" on Netflix.
Love it.
Have you ever watched the Sarah Silverman one?
Yes, remind me though, because I watched a lot.
Because I've never been a huge fan of her comedy. It's okay, but it's not really my favorite. Right. But on that show, she's just so likable. Her stories about her family and her stories about
she's so sweet.
Yes,
so sweet, lovable.
Yeah, if there's an episode to watch on that show, it's that one and the 2 episodes with Alec Baldwin. Baldwin is hysterical on that.
I don't know if I've seen those. I think I did. I saw one of them.
Yeah.
It's amazing because that show gives you the insight on people that you think you like and now you don't, or people that you didn't care for, but now you go, "Oh no, as people, they're really good people." Yeah. Like, I like them. Like the 2 girls from Saturday Night Live that he's had on the
Kirsten Wiig was great on there,
and the other one that I can't think of what her name is.
Yeah.
I always
the one who's in Ghostbusters.
Yeah, her. Yeah, hilarious. Love these people. Love them because you're like, okay, you're real, you're being sincere, and you're freaking hilarious on top of it, and you're really getting the real guts of who these people are. Whereas there's other people that I'm like, I can't think of specifically who it was, but there's one guy that I'm like, you're despicable. You're just a hateful, rude. I would not want to be in a room with you.
The other one is a Ricky Gervais episode.
And I hate him as a person.
But he's Seinfeld takes him out in this little sports car and just terrifies him. And
yes.
Most of the episodes, Gervais being absolutely petrified.
Yes, that was great. I love that one. Because he could be hilarious, but he's also very, very negative as a person.
Yeah.
He views everything as just rotten to its core, and I don't like that. But to watch him scream in a car, go, all right, slow down. And Jerry's just laughing.
You're like a young king, aren't you? Take people out and terrify them in your death machine.
And Brian Regan is my favorite stand-up. So to see him on there anytime.
Yeah.
And anytime that they make Jerry laugh.
Yeah.
Because it made me appreciate him more than I did. Because he's another one that's always been negative with his kind of attitude or arrogant in his kind of, he's very aloof.
Arrogant is the word I would use, yeah.
Right? Very aloof. Doesn't really care about your feelings and kind of enjoys that he doesn't care about your feelings.
Yeah.
I don't like that. But then you see him on this show, and there's times where he's the hero, whereas the other person's going, oh, look at that person waving. He goes, I don't mind. They're like, why just stop and talk to that guy? He's like, why wouldn't I? Like Jerry says, as long as they're not being rude, why wouldn't I stop and talk to them? They recognize me and they like me. Yeah, I'm like, good. Yeah. Good for you.
The episodes with Letterman and Colbert are both great in that.
Love Stephen Colbert.
Because you never get a chance to see Letterman kind of like, on the other side of the interview. And I was a huge Letterman fan. I thought that one was great.
Yeah, he's weird, right? Like, I mean, he's not evil, but he's odd.
Why? It's. I mean, he's just tortured by insecurity, Letterman.
Okay, that explains a lot of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, when you see him, like you said, on the other side, you go, all right, I could get along with you. I would like you.
And Letterman's solo show on Netflix, where he does like a half hour or hour long interview, long form.
Yeah.
Because without the pressure of the Daily Show, you can just tell it's an entirely different kind of format for him, and he actually enjoys just like long prolonged conversations with these people.
The two that remind me of that are David Tennant did one, and so does Conan O'Brien. Conan O'Brien needs a friend.
Conan's show is great,
right?
Yeah,
I got Mikey hooked on those clips of him when he would do his travels. Those are the best part because it's him and his buddy.
Yeah.
Oh, that's better than any sort of written thing because it's so quick.
Did you see Conan on Hot Ones?
I want to say yes, but I don't remember it, so I'm gonna have to go back.
The interview show where they eat the spicy wings.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's like two different bits. Where first off, he has like his personal physician come by and keep checking his pulse and stuff, and meanwhile, he just refuses to admit that the wings are hot. And by like 6 or 7, he's like downing the hot sauce straight from the bottle and like smearing it all over his face. It's. Yeah,
I did not see that one.
He kind of broke the show in the best possible way. It's hilarious because the host of that show is a really good interviewer, but he has no idea what to do with somebody who was just flying in the face of the show, but in a really funny way. It's great.
Some of these guests that they have on, Mikey keeps quoting the Paul Rudd one.
Yeah,
where he goes, look at us.
Yeah.
Do you ever think this would happen?
Not me.
Not me. It's so adorable. How do you not love Paul Rudd?
Paul Rudd's best,
right? I mean, to go, no, you're doing fame right. You're still a sweet, goofy, lighthearted guy who's good to people.
Yeah,
and that interview show is also good for helping you appreciate, like the girl from Stranger Things.
Yeah,
right. She's adorable on that.
Yeah,
you're like, oh, you're actually a sweet person. I'm afraid she's going to go off the rails, or if, everything I've seen since, she seems to be having her fame take her down a bad path.
Yeah.
But at the moment, in that interview, I'm like, oh no, you're a sweet girl. Okay.
I remember with Paul Rudd being angry that like Paul Rudd was my age and he gets to be Ant-Man. And I'm like, as if that was then you also get to be a Ghostbuster.
Yeah, I know. Oh, which reminds me, one of the things I've been dying to tell you about, if you haven't watched it yet. Change your life. Get ready. The Shrink Next Door. Write it down and jump on that.
Where's that?
I don't know if it's Apple or whatever, but I have the Fire Stick. So, I watch it whenever I want. This was based off a podcast on a true story about a guy in New York in 1982. His parents had died. He had taken over the fabric business that they had. He's got an older sister they're very Jewish. She's very cliche, in your face. I'm not taking crap. Jewish, like, not, what I mean, like the caricature. Oh, yeah. No, I don't have time for this kind of thing, which benefits him because he had a phobia of confrontation. And so she would come in and, like, if a customer was giving him a hard time, you're not like your father. Your father wouldn't try it. And she'd come and go, do you want our business or don't you? You don't? Bye. Have a nice day. Well, she says, you should go to a shrink. And I have this guy, Rabbi, whoever suggested him. And he goes to the shrink. It's Catherine Hahn is the sister. Will Ferrell is Marty. And the shrink is Paul Rudd.
Oh, really?
It is so, it's 8 episodes that are so amazing. They're like a half hour long. You're going to zip through these and feel like you've been on a journey that paid off in spades.
All right.
I watched it last month. I had Cindy watch it. And then right after it, I had Mikey watch it. They said it was and I agree, one of the best things I've ever seen.
All right. I got to check it out.
Because I had listened to the podcast originally and loved it by Wondery, the same people who did Dirty John, and they did a mini series of that, which is just as excellent. And so I'm like, all right, I'm going to watch this. They are so good, you forget you're watching Will Ferrell and Paul Rudd. They are that much into it that you go, oh, crap, these guys are actors. Like, it's an arc. Because what happens is, just the little teaser, the therapist is an opportunist who has a wall full of pictures of him with celebrities because he wants to be a big shot. So he would run up to a celebrity, get a picture, put it on his wall, and tell people that they were close friends, that kind of thing. Watch it immediately because, like I said, I can't recommend it to anybody enough. It's
cool.
So many you're going to miss it when it's gone. It's one of those. And those two guys together, you'd never think they'd be together in anything. And the way that, and the best part, it's all true. This is real people. This is really how it happened. When they did the TV show, they had it be just as accurate as everything that was said on the podcast.
Right. All right, check it out.
Oh, I'm excited for you. That's how good it is.
Excellent.
And you were rewatching Watchmen.
No, I was rereading Watchmen.
Rereading it. I'm sorry. You know why I said watching? Because they have a new animated one.
Yeah, that's what made me think about it, because I saw that was coming out, and I was like, I haven't. And then I went back and watched the Zack Snyder film for the first time in a few years, and it held up pretty good.
It really does.
That one overall I'm pretty happy with, but I went back and I realized I hadn't read the book in probably about 4 or 5 years, and just, man, that is just that book just stands by itself, and every single page is kind of a small miracle.
Oh, it really is.
The grid, yeah, it's amazing.
And it was one of those that Cindy, when she gets on a reading kick, which I'm always for, she's now back on it. I have her reading Frank Miller's Daredevil.
Yeah.
But a year or so ago, she goes, you know what? Everybody talks about Watchmen. Should I read it? I'm like, yes. So I had her read it, but I said the pirate stuff you can skip. She doesn't have the patience to read a side story like that, and it never really paid off for me. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, if you're enjoying that world, you can go down that path, but let's stick to the main thing. And it's, I think I told you, for me though, I read it after Kingdom Come. So Kingdom Come blew my mind. By the time I read Watchmen, I'm like, we kind of already did this. I kind of feel like the effect that it should have had was already spent on Kingdom Come.
Yeah, because kind of the way when I saw The Godfather for the first time, it felt familiar to me because so many other shows had already influenced and ripped off The Godfather. So a lot of that impact was taken. That's the same reason I think that the movie John Carter didn't do well.
I have to watch that. Funny you mention that.
It's so good. It's great.
John Carter on Mars or whatever.
Yeah. But the problem is, so much of what it does has been strip mined by everything from Star Wars to Indiana Jones to everything else, to even like to the point of like the one of the big center point scenes of the film is this big arena fight, which Lucas really took for the episode 2.
Okay.
Well, I mean, it feels like it's a pastiche on Star Wars when, Burroughs did it first, and it's so well done and it's so sincere. That movie really bugs me that it didn't do as well as it should have, because it's a great.
Right. Well, I will watch it and I'll give you feedback because it is on my short list of things to watch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's one of those where there's only so many hours in a day, and if I'm going to dive into something, it has to be family friendly, or I have to watch it by myself first.
Yeah.
If it's okay for them to watch.
It's totally family friendly.
Oh, I know that one it would be. Yeah. But there's so many things on my list. I still have to watch season 3 of Picard.
Oh, you really do.
I know. I know. Well, and that's the thing. Cindy and I, when the kids go upstairs now, we go, all right, what are we watching? So I had her watch Shrink Next Door, and we'll watch the show Alone, which is, the people out in the wilderness and all the competition thing. She wants to watch season 2 of the Neil Gaiman show, the
Sandman or Good Omens.
Good Omens.
Yeah.
And I'm just not in the mood. I love David Tennant and Michael Sheen, but I have to be in that. All right, we're gonna go quirky and we're gonna go dark.
Yeah. I love first season, but I just haven't gotten the second season yet.
Right, me too. So we have things already that we've started, but people say you don't need to watch the first 2 seasons to watch the 3rd season of Picard.
Not at all.
Good, because that's what I want to jump in with her.
Yeah, jumping on season 3 for sure.
Okay, because I think we talked about this. The first 2 seasons were good in premise, but they went sideways with some stuff that I'm like, you're dragging this out. It doesn't. You could have done 2 other stories within this.
No, as season 3 just hits the ground running and doesn't stop.
And it's also like it's. I've heard it's the idea that we want of Stargate. Get the team back together, and this is how you do it.
Yeah.
Like there's no reason why the adventure can't continue.
It's the finale feature film the Next Generation deserved and never got.
Right. And he's like, oh no, we should do a movie. Let's do a movie. Like,
no,
don't. Apparently, they're making another season of what the heck is the show? The soccer coach.
Oh, Ted Lasso.
Yeah, Mikey said they're going to do a season 4. Now, I'm not caught up, but from what I understand, they finished that strong.
The thing with Ted Lasso is that supporting cast is so strong. I'd be fine with a show, and maybe Ted Lasso's only in an episode or 2.
Wow.
And then, but I love that supporting cast so much. I'm with you, by the way. I haven't seen. I'm still working through my way through it. So I'm only on like middle of season 2.
Okay, you're further than I am. I'm towards the end, I think, or at least middle of season 1, and I like it, and it is good. But again, there's so many shows. Everything. Yeah. Speaking of the title of this episode, everything is just so good.
Yeah.
That all right. What I haven't finished Titans yet because I forgot about it. That's where we're at. So many stuff that I forget.
And I hear there's some good stuff towards the end of that one too.
Okay. All right, good.
Yeah, because I would put John Carter in that same category as Rocketeer and Phantom and The Shadow were great pulp films that never got their audience.
Okay, because Mikey and I watched The Rocketeer. Now I want him to watch The Phantom. And what was the other one?
Shadow.
The Shadow. Got to watch The Shadow. Yeah, I do want to give them their fair chance because we love The Rocketeer, and that Adam Murphy has done Rocketeer, Indiana Jones art, I think, too. Yeah. Because why would you not team them up? Like,
absolutely.
And by the way, Disney, you own both of them.
I know.
Why are you not giving us adventures of them together?
Yeah.
Like I just want to be in the office of whoever's in charge of making that decision and go, there's money on the table with Indiana Jones on so many levels. same thing with Rocketeer. They are giving us Rocketeer comics, though. I will give them credit on that. So, you know, what else? Have you been reading World's Finest?
Yeah, off and on, but yeah, it's great.
It's so excellent.
Yeah,
that Nightwing. I'm currently trying to catch up on Nightwing because everything's going to be changing hands soon. And that was a definitive Nightwing run. I don't know if you've read it.
No, I've been hearing people rave about it, but I'm not caught up.
It's beautiful. But yeah, like what? Oh, okay. Here, besides going through the list of things I'm reading, here's what I want to know from you. What do you think of the all-in thing that they're coming up with?
Feels like seems like we've been here, but we've been here before, you know?
Yeah.
You know, they tried a few years ago with All-Star Superman and All-Star Batman and All-Star Wonder Woman, and then I don't know. I mean, if the actual work is good, it'll stick around. I'm not in a rush to go read the umpteenth new revisioning of those three characters again. And DC has this amazing bench of characters we could be getting great stories from that we're not. So, the part of me feels like it just feels like I'm back on the treadmill, like a hamster. Yeah. Do I need yet another even grittier revamp of Batman? Yeah.
Well, and you know what it is, Jude? I'm cautiously optimistic because I admire the fact that they want to do an ultimate, the Marvel thing with those characters. And if the story's good, all right, great. Like you said, if it pays off, more and more and more. However, when you take a classic character, Marvel, like in the movies too, you've said it, I think, best, fine-tunes them to come right to their core character of who they are. They made you care about Iron Man and Thor and anybody because they made them unique, but noble and someone that you'd want to watch and or read. And when a good writer comes along, you can do that with any character. And I think of that when I read certain books. I'm like, wow, they really made this character. Yeah, like Frank Miller with Daredevil. We can go through the list. And Scott Snyder, I love. I'm cautiously optimistic because I do love his writing, but in his later stuff, he got spacey and like that dark metal stuff got a little too much. You kind of came off the rails there to where I don't even care. And everything was so morbid because he was writing Justice League and his thing was they lose all the time now. Everybody loses. All the heroes lose. They lose to the point where I'm like, I don't want to read this anymore. It's one to do it to have a comeback story once. But the fact that seems to be now your brand.
Yeah, that's kind of
right? So with this, I don't like the looks of these characters. I don't like the way that Superman's got like 90s in-sync hair. He's got I don't know. His outfit's kind of weird. Batman looks. Nobody seems to like his symbol.
Yeah, because it's barely a symbol.
Right, and apparently it's supposed to be part of the axe that he puts on. He takes it off his chest and puts it on to be a weapon. That's a one and done. That Batman would have done that in an issue to beat a villain and then retired that gimmick. Yeah. That's why he doesn't run around in Iron Man armor all the time. He could, but he doesn't. And so, I don't know. I mean, I'm excited for the possibility of a good story, but I feel it's gonna, and this goes with all of it. It might be one of those we go, no, it doesn't feel heroic. Like everybody's new thing with writing is we have to muddy the waters and nobody can be heroic anymore. They all have to kind of have a dark side to them. Like,
when it comes to gimmicks with the Batman chest symbol, I mean, for me, no one can ever beat Frank Miller in the first issue of Dark Knight Returns when the sniper zeroes in on him and you see he's got an armor plate there, and the captain just says, "Why do you think I wear a target on my chest?" Yeah, it's like, yeah, there you go.
That's smart. I mean, Frank Miller's great.
Yeah.
When I hear he's one of those guys that I would just sit at his feet and let him tell me comic stories.
Yeah.
Like, not even stories, but tell me your philosophy on stuff.
Yeah.
You know, where I think the more I hear from, say, Alex Ross, I appreciate his view on stuff, but I don't necessarily agree with it when he gets into these guys should be wearing spandex all the time and it should be tight to their body. No, that's not, you can't do that. I mean, you can do it in your art and we'll appreciate it. But as an overall philosophy for crime fighting, I like the idea of thin body armor that you don't see.
Well, it's a bit, I mean, and everything can be made to work if it's executed well.
Right. When his art is, I mean, his art, you're like,
I've been loving his covers on Fantastic Four this year.
Oh, and he was doing the interiors for a while.
He did that one big book called Full Circle, and that was great.
I bought it, but I haven't read it yet.
It's good. Very good.
All right, good. Because again, Fantastic Four books, good ones are hard to come by. I got the I bought a couple volumes, and it was the the artist that passed away. Loved
Wade Moringo.
Yeah. Loved it.
That's a great run.
Right? I read the first volume and went, oh, okay. I see why this is popular.
And
the art's very crisp.
Yeah, I mean, my FF Big Four would be Lee Kirby, obviously.
Sure.
John Byrne, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
Wade Moringo is up there. Dwayne McDuffie had a run that was too short, I think, because it was right about the time he passed away, but it was really good. And then Jonathan Hickman. The one thing I was
about to say, I think I snagged a couple of those because he's reliable.
Hickman's FF was great.
Yeah. Well, Mark Waid, I'll buy anything he puts out. Like, he's one of those.
Same.
That, right? Ever since The Flash, I'm like, oh, so you make everything tight and good, and you bring the adventure in, like, obviously Daredevil, but I bought his Cap run. I haven't read it yet, but I'm going to, right?
Yeah.
I see his name. I'm like, I'm buying it.
Yeah.
I'm buying. What was I going to tell you? Talking about that. Oh, you know what I noticed, and I'm sure you have too. Remember when Bendis was part of DC?
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody else does because DC kind of wiped out everything that he did.
Yeah.
The moment that he stepped away,
yeah,
they got rid of all the characters he created, all the changes he made. They basically wiped out anything that he did. Don't
I would kind of argue that's because none of that stuff really stuck with readers, and I don't think I mean the Superman stuff that he did, it just didn't feel like he had a real key into the character.
Okay. My gripe, if I'm going to gripe, was where they aged Superboy, his son, and then kept him an adult. Like, no, the whole point of him is that he's a little boy who looks up to his dad and has the powers, and he gets to like be a dad to him and also teach him how to be. They threw it away for that one story, and then they went, wait, we can make him gay, and he'll be the gay Superman. And like, well, okay, but you just threw away. I mean, the whole dynamic with Robin, Damian, was worth it alone. I love their team up. That friendship was such a great yin and yang.
I agree. No,
and it's gone.
Yeah.
They need to de-age him again.
And I mean, I didn't read it closely, so I'm just trying to remember. Didn't that Bendis also have Jor-El as a bad guy?
Yep.
Yeah, see, out. Immediately,
yeah.
I'm out.
Well, the good thing is they did it and then they reversed it. Like in the same story, it all made sense because that was a Jor-El who got to stick around and get warped as opposed to the noble hero that, everybody thinks of when you say Jor-El. You're like, all right. As long as you reverse it in the end, they kind of just take him back to the explosion in the end. So that way he doesn't become that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, the thing. So then, I mean, as a result, all that stuff that Bendis did, since it got wiped away, you know, I think they just kind of wiped away everything else with it too.
No kidding. They got rid of the what was the one he modeled after his daughter?
Well, I'm not sure.
The yellow gold outfit. He made her part of the Justice League. I have both volumes. I haven't read them yet.
I checked out all that stuff. I wasn't reading.
His Justice League was fun. It was really good because he's great with words. Like he makes conversations real. And you're like, yeah, I enjoy. Not a lot of action happened in this book, but a meaningful conversation happened that will pay off with the battle that comes 2 issues later.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where it's not just people throwing punches. There's a build to his writing where you go, now, if he's going to punch him or even give him a dirty look, that means something.
Yeah. I was a hard sell on Bendis' Avengers because I really resented the way that he blew up the classic Avengers to get to his story.
Mm-hmm.
But once after a year or so, I went back and read everything else, and the new Avengers run is really strong.
It's my favorite. That's my go-to.
The one that brings where they bring in Spidey and Wolverine and Luke Cage,
and eventually Daredevil.
Yeah, and just the fact that he rescued Jessica Drew from obscurity and brought the real Spider-Man back. Like, yeah, all right,
you got me.
And that long run he had was pretty good, really good on Avengers, actually.
So good, and I miss it. And that was another perfect example. But I don't think that was a shot at Bendis. I think that's the Marvel way of doing things. They wipe out whatever happened before and just go back to the status quo, where I'm like, no. Like, again, Marvel lost me after Civil War, because sometime after that, because I got so sick of, you had a new setup for a whole new different universe and way of telling this great, all these characters now have a brand new reason to do stuff, and instead they just go, yeah, we're just going to have Spider-Man live with his aunt again, and we're going to have, everything was just back to the 60s status quo. And I'm like, I'm done. I'm out. I'll read Daredevil, but I'll wait until enough people brag about, say, a good story arc for Avengers, or like if you came to me and said, hey, you know what you should read, then I'll go back and read it. Yeah. But as far as being a monthly buyer of buying and hoping that the story is going to be good, it doesn't matter if it's good because they wipe it out in the end anyway.
Well, yeah, but I mean, that, to a certain degree, that's comics in general. I mean,
sure,
yeah,
sure. And I'll allow that, but they really wipe it out, is what I'm saying.
And, well, especially because that Bendis period of Avengers lasted a good long while. It was almost 10 years, I think, wasn't it?
Yes, it was a beautiful.
And
that was the highlight, I think.
That Dark Avengers run was great.
It was great. It was so good. I'm like, holy crap! I can't believe I'm enjoying Norman Osborn being like the leader of this team.
Speaking of which, I have not opened it yet, but one of the new releases from Marvel Legends is a Cabal 3-pack of Dr. Doom, the Taskmaster, and Norman Osborn as the in the Iron Patriot armor, and the head sculpt on the Norman Osborn. He's got these sunken bags under his eyes, but still that awful weird Osborn
curly hair. Yeah,
and the Dr. Doom is actually, you take off his faceplate and he's a Doom bot underneath.
Oh,
and the Taskmaster is perfect. He's got the bow and arrow and the shield and sword and the pistol. Amazing set,
man. You know, it's so funny. I always like Taskmaster because the idea of him.
It's a great man. He's the only supervillain in franchises. It's fantastic.
Isn't that great? I mean, they really made him not just a guy who copies what you do. Like, no, they made him a real son of a bee.
Yeah.
He's like Deathstroke.
Yeah.
Right. He's kind of has that. Well, I could kill you, but you're not. I wasn't contracted to kill you, so don't make me.
Just business.
Yeah, just business. Nothing, you know.
That's actually one of the few misses from the MCU, I think, is the way
the
way they bungled Taskmaster.
Yeah, they make her a girl, and then like, all right, that was that version. Let's have the real one now.
Yeah,
but now she's going to be in Thunderbolts.
Yeah, also because just the whole idea that of Taskmaster with photographic reflexes. It's the kind of bunked comic book idea that sounds like it should be a real thing.
Yeah, and it could pay off beautifully. All you had to do is say it. Say, look at, and then give the personality from the comic books. You're like, oh, I like this guy. Oh, did you hear they're bringing Ultron back for Vision, the series?
I did hear that, yeah.
Which I love the idea of Ultron coming back, but they're getting what's his name?
Well, I liked Spader's Ultron.
Oh,
Yeah,
really? It was not Ultron though.
Yeah. Well, they should have him screaming more because in the comics all Ultron does is scream. But I like the performance.
But you know what Ultron is? I mean, Ultron isn't quippy.
Yeah,
Ultron doesn't say, "Hey, oh, time to sing a song." Like, no, he's a AI driven. This is the cliche that we know now is the I need to make things better. Yeah. I am only like the animated series.
Oh, perfect!
Did it perfect.
Yeah.
Right, because he's scary.
Yeah. Well, the problem was, I mean, because they hadn't gotten to Hank Pym yet, they couldn't have Ultron be created by Pym, so they had to have him be created by Stark. And if he's created by Stark, then you've got some of the Starkisms in his personality. I understand why they did it.
Sure.
If they could have waited until I would have loved to have seen an Ultron contending with a Michael Douglas Hank Pym. That would have been great.
Yeah.
But they hadn't used brought the characters in yet. So, but I love Paul Bettany's Vision so much.
Me too.
That I do like the fact that if we're gonna have more with him, put Spader's Ultron in there too to give him something to fight with.
I do think it is great, and I'm so excited that they didn't even try to hide the fact that no, we're having Dr. Doom show up. Oh yeah, look at who we're gonna have be this alternate version. Wow, way to make him shine before we get the real Doctor Doom. Like we're going to do an Elseworlds Doctor Doom.
People lost their mind at San Diego.
I love that. That was so well done where he does his cliche Tony Stark.
Because I mean, there's been a lot of years of big Robert Downey moments at Comic-Con. I remember the one year he showed up in the back of the hall and he's in his Tony Stark suit and like one Iron Man glove and like just danced his way down the hall and up the stage. It's crazy good. So just getting another big RDJ moment at Comic-Con was fun. That and did you see the drone show?
Yes, yeah, outside where it showed Galactus's head.
Over Petro Park with Galactus that come up. Yeah, that was nuts.
That's a drone. I had to tell everybody. I'm like, look it, guys. This is done with drones.
Yeah.
Now, look at the world we live in.
Yeah.
This is to promote a movie that they just started filming.
Yeah.
Holy crap, they're telling us we're going to get Galactus that looks like that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And again, I don't know about you, but Galactus is not driven by personality I like the idea of Galactus, but it has to be in the way that they write him because he's just a giant guy who eats planets.
Yeah.
So I root for the villain to be in it because he's a classic villain. But when you think about it, you're like, that's kind of stupid. Like, does he talk? And if he does talk, he's always, I don't really care. I'm just going to eat this planet kind of thing. So the real skill is when he's written well.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to
everything I've seen from Fantastic Four gives me hope that it's in the right direction. So we'll see what happens.
I don't think there's anything that I'm worried about. Like to quote you and to get into this, Agatha.
Yeah.
Did we need an Agatha show?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
again, what I said in the beginning. Give me anything. Thank you, Marvel. Yes, sir. May I have another? I'll take it. Did we need it? No, she was done. So
it's such a reaction to the fact that that actress became so popular from the show, and it's like, oh, let's give her own show. So I mean, if they can make something out of it, cool. But it's not something I'm dying to watch.
Right. But I'm thankful it's there because you know what? I think I said to you, I'm feeling the absence of Marvel.
Yeah,
I'm feeling it. I understand they needed to tighten it up a bit because Secret Invasion was pointless.
Yeah.
But I need my Marvel kick. I need that. And we haven't had it. And boy, I feel like There's nothing to look forward to. I'm still waiting for Mikey says every day, can we get a trailer for Daredevil, please, for the love of God? Because,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What about did you watch The Acolyte?
Did not watch The Acolyte. I watched the first one and it did not feel like my jam.
Right.
So I just, this one, if I hear something great about it, I'll come back to it. And I never really did, so I stayed away.
You're okay to do that.
Yeah.
You're okay to do that because I more Star Wars, Jedi stuff. I'm all for it. Yay, woohoo, Jedi.
If people liked it, awesome. But I felt the same about Andor. I tried Andor. I didn't like Andor. I'm glad Andor is there for people who like Andor.
Sure. Did you watch all of Andor?
No, I got like 2 or 3 in and I got bored.
Okay, so that would have been a mistake because it's actually 3 different stories that they didn't warn us about. So if you didn't like the first arc, you check out because it's boring as can be. But there's actually 2 other arcs that I went, okay, not my favorite, like you said, kind of very much a courtroom novel kind of approach where I'm like, where's the excitement? Give me the excitement, which is what Star Wars should be. Well, Andor, again, it's Jedis. It's fun. It should be great. It's 100 years before what we know. Okay. And in the end, I'm like, I'm going to spoil it for you because you don't care. It's an origin story for a bad guy.
Yeah.
The guy, the hero doesn't turn out to stay the hero. They decide to go with the bad guys. Oh, I feel that. I feel yucky. I feel like I did when I would watch Sopranos or Breaking Bad. Like, was it done well? Sure. Am I happy with the world when it's over? No.
Yeah.
I don't. I want to be happy. I want to be inspired.
Yeah.
And this kind of left me feeling like, oh, so the good guys don't win in this case. No thanks. And so then they're making a big thing. They're not doing a season 2. It's been canceled. It shouldn't have.
Yeah. If people had loved it, then they would have. So, I mean, whatever.
Somebody online said, you know what? This is what happens when look at what happens when they put a room full of writers in a room to write this as opposed to the other series where they used, I don't know. I forget how they put it, but they were trying to say like a room full of writers should have worked, but there was prejudice against that technique. And I'm like, no, the room full of writers pooped a turd on this one.
Yeah. Yeah, that argument makes no sense because that didn't make people watch it or stop watching it. People don't know that's how it happens.
Right.
So, that's
like Ahsoka was excellent. I love Ahsoka because that was happy, good, exciting Jedi with space fights. And I actually felt like this fit perfectly into the Star Wars trilogy of the original trilogy. I'm like, this feels like that.
Well, this is what got me with Andor, where people go, finally, it's a Star Wars without all the space wizards and laser swords. Like, yeah, I like space wizards and laser swords. That's kind of what I'm here for.
Right. Yeah. And it's just like I don't like. Again, we're in a spoiled world where people love to criticize all the good things that they have.
Yeah.
I'm like, people who go back and go, Temple of Doom is very dark. I don't like Temple of Doom. I'm like, you're hilarious.
Yeah.
This is a better film than anything that's been made in the last 30 years. But because you're a millennial who can just take everything for granted like it's a bowl of cereal, you decide to go, and crap on a classic. Oh, is it dark for you? You know?
There's also a certain understanding that needs to be made is that not everything is for you, and that's okay.
That's right. That's very good.
I didn't like Andor. It doesn't mean I don't think Andor should have been made.
Right.
I watched Ms. Marvel. I recognized the quality of it. I also recognized that it wasn't really for me.
Right. They're supposed to be making another season, by the way.
I hope so, because I think she's great.
Yeah.
And I think the actors who play the parents are great.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Marvels got screwed as far as It's a much better film than anyone gave credit for.
Right.
But but even though I never finished the Ms. Marvel TV series, because again, I gotta say that this is more for kids, this is more for teens, this is more for girls. I'm glad it's there for those who like it. Just because it's not aimed at me doesn't mean it shouldn't exist.
Mm-hmm. The original comic book run when they introduced her was great.
Oh, it's really good.
It's really good. The art I liked, even though it was quirky and its own thing. It fit perfectly with this. The pacing of her and the story of her origin, and
and it gave us the best Marvel characters are always the ones that are like no one else is doing that, and it gave us a new character we didn't have, which was the teenage Marvel fangirl,
which is a perfect example of what Marvel and DC need to learn. If you want to have a diverse Indian character, gay character, whatever, create it. Create it. We are all for it. By all means, do it. But don't take the classics and try and askew them to fit your hole now. No pun intended. Create a good character, and she is a good character.
Yeah. I'm never gonna buy Alan Scott being gay. I'm just not, because there are 50 years of comic where he's not gay.
Well, we talked about Robin. Do not do that to Tim Drake. Tim Drake was already a well-established, solid character. And people who read that series that didn't last very long went, no, this doesn't feel like Tim Drake. None of it.
I still don't buy it with Iceman either.
Sure.
Because there's 50 years of comics where Bobby Drake is a skirt chaser.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I'm not. Nah.
But by all means, give us new characters, make them good. And if they don't work, I'm sorry. It's not that people don't like the diversity. It's just you didn't write them well.
Yeah. Miles Morales works because he was a new kind of character.
And not Peter Parker.
Yeah.
But yet not the opposite of Peter Parker either.
Yeah. He was his own character from the get-go.
I love that. I mean, I adore that. What was the other book you said that you were going back and reading?
Oh, I've been on a big 70s Avengers and Batman kick.
And Rom
too, yeah. Because every
time I see Rom, I think of you, because I'm like, he really sold me on that. And if I ever see a sale, I think I might get some Rom.
No, you definitely should.
What was the DC stuff you were just saying though?
Oh, when I was digging through the quarter bins and dollar bins at Comic-Con, giant stack of 70s Superman, giant stack of 70s Batman, and a few 70s Avengers too.
Is it the Kurt Swan Superman?
Yeah. the period wherever Clark Kent is like a TV anchor.
Yep.
Yeah. Love that stuff.
I told you I got the one where it's that cover that I had as a kid where Superman and Clark Kent get split.
Yeah.
Right? And in the end they realize that they need to be together because Superman's arrogant and Clark Kent doesn't really give a rat's rear end.
Yeah.
That was nice. I enjoyed that.
Yeah. I've been also with Rom, by the way, they announced at Comic-Con that Rom's getting a Marvel Legends figure finally.
Really? Yeah. You must be thrilled.
Yeah. Well, Marvel Legends, you can tell they're going through the old issues of the Marvel Handbook and trying to find characters they haven't hit yet. Because every batch will get a bunch of new stuff, but then some really deep 70s cuts.
Well, the Batman O'Neill, Adams run is excellent. It's so good. It's so good. I mean, that was them just definitely saying, all right, get away from the 60s television show.
Yeah.
But man, they make Batman, they remember, no, he's cool and he's not going to take crap from people. And the fight scenes were great.
All good stuff.
And I mean, the fact in one issue, they would give you a good one issue, solid story, and then it would just end. Yeah. They're boom, he knocked him out, credits. You're like, oh, all right. So I assume he went to jail and everything else, but you got the meat of that story.
When I was a kid, it was Detective Comics, and the writer was a guy named David V. Reed. and it was the underworld of it was the crime Olympics. So clearly it must have been like 76. So it must have been an Olympics year.
Sure.
And so it was like one of the few times there was like a long running story, and we had one issue where the crime Olympics were going on, and I found like the other 4 around it. So I managed to snatch those up at Comic-Con.
Were they good?
I haven't got to them yet.
I read the issue, reread the issue where Two-Face comes back with the boat on the boat.
Great.
It's great because I didn't know before that was his first reappearance in years. They had cured him and he went away.
Yeah.
And then I think there was another guy who tried to be Two-Face or something back in the 50s.
It was the actor who played him in the TV dramatization about it, in which Batman played himself, because back then Batman was very civic minded.
Sure.
If they wanted to come on to, sure, I'll be happy to be on your TV program, citizen.
Here's my badge, my policeman's badge. But yeah, I mean, that story is a one and done, and it's so solid.
Yeah.
I mean, he has to save the drunk guy who was floating on a raft, and when the boat came up, it took him up in the sails, and this guy doesn't even know that he's up high, but Batman's got to save him and knock out Two-Face. And then the last panel is him like carrying both of these guys off the boat before it explodes or whatever. And then it just ends.
Yeah. No, it's good.
Right?
Yeah. And that was the first Two-Face story in probably about 15, 20 years.
Wow. That's amazing. And ever since then, he's been around.
Yeah.
Have you been reading the Larry Hama G.I. Joe?
I have not.
It's just as good as ever.
Good.
It just picks up. It's just, I didn't read. As you know, I'm only on volume 2 of my original G.I. Joe run. I finished the 1. I'm now into where they just, I think we talked about, introduce Gung Ho and so when I get the time, I got to go back and continue that journey. But I picked up, since they restarted on the new comic book, who is it? Kirkman's.
Yeah, Skybound.
Skybound, thank you. They pick up right where IDW left off.
Yeah.
So Snake Eyes, the real Snake Eyes, is back. I'm like, I know they had killed him, which I hated, and they brought him back. Okay. But they didn't go, we need to address, certain things, or we need to forget about things. Nope. It just, the art's fantastic. The story is very tight, and there's a lot going on. But it's also, its own thing, as it always was. Whereas I was telling you got to start with Duke.
Yeah.
Cobra Commander, by the way, as a miniseries, just as excellent.
Sweet. No.
It's amazing because you're like, how? I don't care to read about a villain. Oh, no, wait. Yes, I do. This is good. Because they're really laying the groundwork. And Duke is such a... They make sure in the first page that no, this guy's like the ultimate soldier. He's a leader for a reason. And then it goes in its own direction for this miniseries. But the whole time, you're rooting for him. You're like, yeah, this is... I'm dying.
Both those I'm going to pick up and trade. Yeah.
I'm trying to. Oh, okay. So it is. I'm going to post this. Not that one. What's the one I was going to show you? That one. That's one of the covers. I think one of the other covers that they have. See how they have Starscream?
Nice.
Yeah. And it's a good. It's so good. I think it is out in trade now. I think.
Yeah, I think the first ones have just hit.
Oh, I'm again. There's things I'm excited for you to enjoy because I know you'd enjoy them.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, and for being a superhero guy, for it to not be a superhero thing, it's got to be pretty darn good,
right?
For me to hang on. And I think, what did they say? I know you're not into the Transformers, but I think they said the Transformers book is like it's been the number 1 book.
It's doing crazy well. Yeah. Really, really popular. Yeah.
Good.
I'm glad. Again.
It's like Rom. It's one of those, I'm like, you got to sell me on the story. And if it's tight, okay, it pays off. I'll enjoy this.
No, I mean, with Transformers, I'm always like, if you like this sort of thing, then this is the sort of thing you'll like.
Right. And if you only dabble in it through the G.I. Joe path, that's fine too.
Yeah.
Because they make those worlds combine to a way where, no, it makes sense. No, yeah. It's not where they're trying to force them together. It's like, no, one causes the other, and okay. Any other great books you're reading?
No, right now I've just been diving into the old stuff pretty much. Oh, that and Micronauts. I got the first Micronauts trade, and that first year of Micronauts is as good as any comic that came out in the 80s. It's amazing stuff.
I'm dying to, probably because of you, I'm dying to get into Rom and the Micronauts. Because these are two that I'm like, how good can it be? And when you told me about Rom, I'm like, oh, that's kind of intriguing.
No, Micronauts is if it wasn't tied into being a toy thing, I think it would have been recognized as like one of the best sci-fi comics in like the 70s. It's that because there's such great world building in it, and the art by Michael Golden is just gorgeous. First 11 issues holds up to anything that came out in the 70s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. Nice. I'll eventually get there. But like I said, right now I'm noticing that there's so many lines of comic books that I have neglected. Like I'm trying to catch up on all my Nightwing. I got to catch up on all my Shazam because it's Mark Waid.
Yeah.
Oh, gotta. Yeah. And then have you been reading that one?
Off and on, yeah.
Okay, I got a couple issues in and I've enjoyed it, but then you just trail off because you got to keep up on stuff. And then I got to read Titans, which is also the same writer who did Nightwing.
Yeah.
So, Tom Taylor.
Yeah. And Wade's Titans was really good too.
Remind me of his Titans.
It was the original team, the Young Kids.
Oh, that miniseries.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was great. I jumped through that one. I was like, why can't we have more of this?
Yeah.
I like the art designs too for the updated like World's Finest stuff.
Yeah, they're very much influenced by the classics, but just giving a bit of a modern polish to them.
Like Robin has pants.
Yeah.
Good, very good. His gloves have like a little guard on them.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right.
Yeah,
I appreciate that. Also, his collar can like come up and like go in the wind and stuff.
Yeah.
I love his art.
Yeah.
Is it Dan Mora?
Yeah, so good.
Love. Anytime he posts something, I'm like, love this. Just want to let you know. Any good movies that you recommend?
Last thing I saw was Deadpool and Wolverine.
Okay.
Past that, nah.
I watched Thanksgiving.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Eli Roth.
Yeah.
It's, his thing is he's intentionally trying to do the cliche 70s, 80s slasher kind of thing. So it's the whodunit. You're not really being like going down a new avenue. You just go, okay, one of these people has got to be, because I watched it and then I had the kids watch it. And they pointed out how everything tries to be Scream.
Yeah.
Which is great because Scream is amazing. But you could feel where they're like, look, it's a group of kids together and they're all getting picked off. And we don't know, one of these kids could be the person. And, it was good. But the one thing that Eli Roth does, and he did it with Hostel too. I don't know if you've ever seen Hostel.
No, I watched part of that. I was thinking, it's not for me.
It's very graphic.
Yeah.
It's not one I can show the kids. But thing he does too often, and I think it hurts his overall idea, is these characters curse to a clownish level. Like, it's not even realistic.
Yeah.
I'm in a bad part of town kind of thing. It almost feels forced. So when I showed the kids Thanksgiving, they're like, I liked it except for the fact that like the F word was shoehorned in like every other word. It's like they had to write the script around the F word.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I'm glad you noticed that because I thought it was...
And by the way, not even as artfully as someone like Tarantino does it.
I was going to mention him. I was like, you know what, Tarantino, the criticism that I had for him was he would curse a lot and he would have violence for the sake of violence in his early movies. He got rid of that. But you're right. At least it's not clownish.
Yeah.
When he would do it, you go, all right, calm down. You don't need to do, you know. I think he would always go for hyper realism.
Yeah.
And he thinks that was the way to do it. Whereas this one was beyond that, if you can picture such a thing. We're like,
whereas, like, you know, when Samuel Jackson curses, it's got impact.
And it's humor.
Yes.
I mean, we still laugh. Yeah. Again, this is one of those things. If you were near me during the day at any point, we quote random stuff in our house. Like, that is a tasty burger. Right?
Yes.
Because he can make those lines sing.
Yeah.
You know, whether he's cursing or not, when he's cursing, you're kind of laughing. But when he's not, he's still making those lines quotable.
It's from Inglorious Bastards.
Great movie.
Whenever Waltz is making his deal with the U.S. forces over the phone, he talks about when we talk about that I killed Hitler and I killed Himmler, he goes, that part is actually true. I get the quote around her constantly, like, that part is actually true.
You know what? And again, I'll watch. I hope Tarantino doesn't stop making movies.
Yeah.
Because he's such a unique voice and perspective that I don't want to lose that. And his last couple, he's done like the twisted history where it's not what really happened kind of thing, that being one of them. But whatever. I'll take it.
Well, I loved it in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Did you?
Yeah, well, because you know, I that's the history we wish would have happened. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know,
right.
And actually, and so it is with the Glorious Bastards, where Hitler gets the kind of death he deserves. Where it's like, you know, it's an interesting thing that he did that in 2 successive movies, but I think in both cases it works really well.
Yeah, and if he's going to be the wish fulfillment movie maker, I'll take it. That's fine. My favorite of all of them is the Kill Bill ones.
Kill Bill's still pretty great,
right? Because it's as close to an action adventure superhero kind of movie that he's made.
Yeah.
Right, where you're like, ooh, the next level. Let's see the next. Okay, kill that one. Woo! And then and the way he would do it with the flashbacks, and now we get to see how she gets her sword, and you don't even realize her name is Beatrice until the end.
Yeah, Kill Bill was probably my favorite Tarantino up until Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
I have to rewatch that one.
Yeah,
because here's how I watch his movies. Please don't F this up. Please don't make it, because again, so many of them were full of unnecessary violence and cursing, where people are just dying and getting killed randomly, and you're like, well, okay, you've done that part. That was your first movie, Pulp Fiction. You did that kind of thing, and it works for that movie, or Reservoir Dogs even. Okay, you got to move on. And now it seems that he has, like you said, that last one that he did.
Yeah. And Once Upon a Time is such a love letter to 1970s LA. Which I'm fascinated with. So that's another one. If I see it's on, no matter what point of the movie it's in, I'll just sit down and watch the rest of it.
Did he do Jackie Brown?
Yeah.
Okay, Jackie Brown is one of those. You can tell it's one of his movies. Either a Robert Rodriguez who he would team up with, or him, that I caught, and I'm like, I don't know. It didn't get a lot of press. It didn't get a lot of. And you watch, you go, oh, okay, it's got the Tarantino twists to it.
Every time I watch Jackie Brown, I like it more.
You know who I love? The guy who just passed away.
Robert Forster.
Love him.
He's great.
Love him, right? He got a lot of work around that time.
Yeah, basically because of that movie, really, it kind of reminded everybody that he was still around.
Because Tarantino does that with his. Yeah. I like this actor from the 70s. I'm bringing him in.
Yeah,
you know, and he's lovable in that whole thing.
Yeah, Jackie Brown. I didn't like the first time I saw it in the theater because I was expecting more Pulp Fiction, and the tone is so different. The pacing is so different. I remember just endless shots of Pam Grier walking. And I didn't know why. Why are we doing this? But he's just doing it for a reason. He's creating this kind of like leisurely tension throughout the whole film. Yeah, no, Jackie Brown's pretty great.
Have you seen Baby Driver?
I've got it over here. I haven't watched it yet.
Watch it.
Yeah.
He is one of those directors that you want to watch everything he's done. I mean, obviously there's the Simon Pegg movies that are near and dear to my heart. I have Shaun of the Dead poster, which would normally hang in this room, but I switch them out. Used to be actually right over there. There's only the last one, The Last Night in Soho.
Yeah.
That didn't pay off for me, but it was still good. I still, it's the weakest, I think, of all of his. What's his name? Wright?
Edgar Wright. Yeah.
Edgar Wright. Thank you. And I see why they didn't let him do Ant-Man. Because, Marvel had to do certain things and he didn't want to.
Yeah.
But Baby Driver, saw it, loved it, had the family watch it. Mikey has watched it like 6 times since. And you know what's funny? It never clicked for me until the very end. The title is a Simon and Garfunkel song.
Yeah.
I'm a musician who Simon and Garfunkel are part of my DNA. The fact that those two things never clicked for me, it's one of my favorite songs of theirs too. And, I just thought it was a coincidence.
Yeah.
That is one of those that is quotable and you're going to laugh at and be on the edge of your seat with.
Oh yeah. I'll move it ahead in the queue.
Honest to God, it's one of those that you go, oh, I'm glad that exists. I'm always looking for those because so many things you watch, you're like, yeah, all right. Or especially things that, you and I are told about, and then you watch and you're like, I saw this in Kingdom Come already. So it gets either watered down or over appreciatiated.
Yeah.
Is there anything we're missing? Because I know I got to let you go.
I think we're covered. I think we're covered for now.
I want to make sure because, as always, we get off. And by the time we come back around to this, it's old news what we forgot to talk about. Oh, no. Can you tell me what you're working on yet?
No.
Son of a bitch.
But one thing I would want to promote is that starting next week, we're back up at 13th Dimension. And so every week I'm doing 2 columns there, and I'm starting to bring more of my Comics 101 columns back over to 13th Dimension too.
I love those.
Yeah, so that's my current home for where my output's at these days. And then there's other stuff in the works.
Well, I love anytime you post anything like that, I always repost it because it's a fun read.
Yeah.
I mean, besides agreeing with you and being a friend and all, even if we weren't, I would still read that and go, no, this was a nice add to my life. I'm glad that I spent the time.
Yeah, no, it's good to do a deep dive into the comics history again. So I'm enjoying getting back to that over at 13th Dimension.
Yeah. Well, I'll let you know where there's certain books that I do dive into that I think of you that I'm like again, the original Star Wars or G.I. Joe. I'm like, Scott's read this. I'll pick up the phone and be like, I got to tell Scott this funny thing I just saw. He'll know what I'm talking about. Because not everybody would. And to get into the whole pit of the whole thing, just to explain a panel isn't worth it. But I know you get it.
Yeah. And we got to talk in a month or two once I power through Kid Crusader too.
Without a doubt. Like I said, it's quirky. It's odd. But it's a good quirky odd. You're a couple episodes in, you're gonna go, this is the same team of Batman Beyond that I missed this. Cool. Yeah, because it's a classic Batman Beyond. I didn't mean Batman the Animated Series. Yeah. It's a classic. You love it. But when you're reminded with new, not only that, but they're gonna do buildings that look like the same buildings that were used in the animated series. Like
I can tell that they're working on the black backgrounds again.
Right. Wayne Mansion, the police station, it all looks the same. You're like, it's a nice Elseworld. So, yeah, we'll definitely dive back into that.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, I'm going to run the credits. Everybody, just side note, let me think of what I want to mention before we run the credits. Please go to the Forever Adventure Network. Your support is always, needed and appreciated. I do a blog on our Patreon, but if you go to the Forever Adventure Network, that'll lead you into all the other shows. The audio series, did I tell you Corn Nemec has been on?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to talk with him on Monday. I was just texting him, and he's like, "Yeah, it's time to come on and shoot the bull again." I'm like, "Yeah, let's do that."
Nice.
But everybody go on there, click around. If you'd like to drop a shilling in the bucket, please do. It helps keep the lights on. But just share the heck out of this episode. That'll also help support Scott and all his endeavors because he's got good stuff, as he says. Read the Star Trek books that I love. Like I always say to you, you're a writer who should be given genre stuff because you capture the essence of all of that.
Always appreciate it, man.
Yeah, honest to God, I'm not blowing smoke. It's you're a standout writer who should do, if you know about the subject and care about it, you do it. You do what I try to do with the audio series, which if you listen to it, or in your case, read it, you're going to get that same feeling from what you already know.
That's what you got to do. That's what we're going for. So glad it's coming across.
Absolutely. All right, everybody, we'll let you go. And until next time, stay excited, everyone.
The Never Gets Old podcast is part of the Forever Adventure Network and made possible by your donations through Patreon. If you'd like to help us out, please go to the Forever Adventure Network by Mac Jackson on Patreon and help by subscribing, rating, and reviewing wherever podcasts are heard. We also have a Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube channel. The show's music is by Harmony Constant and available wherever music is sold. Thanks for listening, everybody. And remember, stay excited.
The Forever Adventure Network.
Welcome to the adventure.